says, good luck to you all.
Yes, yes, yes. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That is your girl, Adara, and I am Sharif. And as per usual, we're going to wait for everyone to come on over from the other stream. But Adara, I made a boo-boo today because it is Monday, and I don't have the stream loaded up.
Oh, no.
I know, right? So I was kind of hoping you'd help me a little bit in that regard.
Yes.
Otherwise, I've already got it. Here we go. All right. We already have Big Kyle Burdett. We got John in the house. We got Ilya as well. Alex Enzo, Easy Trader, Mateus Lane, Jason Walcott, Ganja Fire. We got Scott H in there as well as Naps. Manesh is joining us today, as well as Solid Visuals. What's up to you, sir? Cass M also in the house. Thomas Ginsley and Market Sniper, Eduardo Bristol. We got Chris, we got Derek, we got the OG Darwin also joining us in the house. And M Mason says, Adara. That's all he said.
M Mason. I'll repeat that. I'll echo that.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I slept a lot, shocking probably no one. That was the one of the things I did this weekend. But yeah, I went on some walks. What else did I do?
There was some
got some
jamming.
stuff done. Pardon?
There was some jamming.
There was some jamming to music.
Yeah.
One of the guys from Brockhampton put out his solo album a couple months ago, so I just discovered that. I know you jammed to some music as well, but how was your weekend overall?
I did. I also jammed to music for like 8 hours in the car as well on my way to Ottawa, helping my cousin move. So we're not going to bore you with that. We'll wait a little bit later before we start getting into our personal stories. But right off the bell, guys, we're looking at these names right here. Let's bring in the daily movers. And these meme stocks have a way of affecting the overall small cap market because we've got a number of good small cap gappers all headed to the high side today. We got the likes of PW hanging out here at 93 some odd percent, coming off that 71 print that it printed on Friday, up to $1.58 today. We got the likes of MBOT, triple digit territory on this one, 111%, and it has had a great bounce here off the volume weighted average price right at 1030. 235 high. Lots of other names to discuss. We GPCR also just printed day's highs, a skosh below 50, and AFMD. This one retracing a little bit below the volume weighted average price, but up a cool 56%. We'll talk about the market. We'll talk about everything else, as well as these memes. AMC, GME, obviously you see them up on the left, the first and second charts on the day. We're going to keep eyes on these meme stocks as, Roaring Kitty making another appearance today. It's nice. It's actually a perfect segue for our lesson.
Yeah.
You and I agreed on Friday. There was no planning of this today. We said we're going to do shorted names. We're going to do highly shorted names as a lesson, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like, it could be fun. Who knows?
Why
They've
not?
been running lately. And now they're like, you guys want to do a lesson about me? Cool. So yeah, there should be some exciting times to be had. That is for sure. For this lesson.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it, baby. We are talking about the short squeeze all week, and we're going to talk about all the different types of trades that you can have using these heavily shorted names. But before we do, as we always do, let's just explain some of the basic concepts so that the newer traders out there can follow along, and they also have the same fundamentals we do. So this lesson dives into early momentum chasing, but with a twist. It's going to target highly shorted names with the potential for, you guessed it, a short squeeze. So buckle up because this strategy is high risk, high reward. Let's get right to it. So some of the short squeeze fundamentals. Let's just talk about what these are and like how they operate. So imagine a stock where a significant portion of the shares, which is called the short interest, are held by investors who borrowed them, because that's how you short. You have to borrow the shares, betting the price will go down. And so the people who bet the price will go down are called short sellers. If the price unexpectedly surges against their position, short sellers end up scrambling to buy back the shares to return them, further fueling price increases. So that's the way they stop out, where you go long, a price dips below a certain level, you punch out, that's your stop. Shorts do the opposite. So the price goes up, they have to buy it back. So the extra buying between the people who actually want to buy the position versus the people who are getting stopped out, this is called a short squeeze. You have usually more momentum to the high side than you typically would have. And this is a great graphic visualizing and contextualizing a short squeeze here. So you have you have the majority of shorts probably above this line right here, this shaded out area. and then the price breaks above into that area, and then all of them start covering at this area as the price goes against them. And when they start covering, the price keeps going higher and higher and higher because they're buying, as well as the other people who are interested in the name are buying. And that is really the mechanics behind the short squeeze. Okay? So we're talking about early momentum chasing here too. So it would have been perfect. It's like a perfect day for this lesson because GME and AMC, we're not going de novo, but there are definitely, it's a new round of squeezing here because of Roaring Kitty on the weekend. So early momentum chasing in shorted stocks. Essentially what this is, early momentum chasers aim to identify highly shorted stocks experiencing an initial price increase. The hope is to jump in before the short squeeze intensifies, profiting as the price explodes due to forced buying by short sellers. So I saw a bunch of the traders back there today. Once they saw GME and AMC were running, they started looking for other names that are highly shorted. The solar names, Faraday Futures, Carvana. I don't know how many other shorted names. There's a whole bunch, and we saw so many last week that were running, the small cap gappers that were running with higher short floats. That's because once a few start squeezing, you start looking for the other heavily shorted names in anticipation that they may squeeze as well. So that is really kind of the move here, okay? The thrill of the short squeeze. So the potential reward can be phenomenal, no question about that. Capturing a short squeeze early can lead to massive returns as the stock price skyrockets. However, that's a big if. So the dark side of the squeeze is as follows. False alarms. Not all price increases in shorted stocks lead to short squeezes. The momentum might fizzle out, leaving early entrants holding the bag. Intense volatility also characterizes these names. Short squeezes are inherently volatile. Price swings can be wild, essentially making it challenging to predict the right entry and exit points. And then there's also a fair degree of psychological warfare in these names. The emotional fervor surrounding a potential short squeeze can absolutely cloud judgment. You'll recall the little segment from Godfather 1 when I talk about, Sonny having clouded judgment, and when his brother talks about him, Michael Corleone always talks that he was a good Don, but he was just too emotional. This is kind of the same thing here. Investors might buy in at inflated prices, fearing they'll miss out, so FOMO ends up being a real and ever-present danger in these names. So some strategies for the short squeeze chaser. Let's talk about that. So short interest monitoring, right? Track the short interest of potential stocks. You can create a watch list full of heavy shorted names and keep tabs on them on a daily basis. You could be updating them as the short interest in them changes, for example. So a high short interest combined with price increase is a potential recipe for a squeeze, no doubt about that. We should also have a good amount of monitoring of news and social media. You got to be savvy in that. Stay up to date on company news and social media chatter that might trigger a short squeeze. Positive developments or increased retail interest, investor interest are good signs. And then you use technical analysis with these heavily shorted names with caution. While technical indicators can help identify breakouts, over relying on them during a short squeeze can be problematic. These events can defy technical analysis due to their emotional nature, and the stop loss orders are, really kind of mandatory in this case. That's if you want to preserve your account. Set tight stop loss orders to limit potential losses, or scale down in position sizing, but just figure out how to manage risk. Okay, short squeezes can reverse course quickly, right? So early momentum chasing in shorted stocks can be exhilarating, guys, but remember, it's a high risk strategy. Always prioritize research and manage risk aggressively, and consider alternative investment strategies if this isn't your cup of tea, Adair.
Yeah, to quote somebody in the chat, Ike Anderson, Planet of the Apes. So the apes have been in full force. Kittens are roaring. It is definitely the time for this lesson. So shout out to Sharif for having some kind of psychic ability that allowed him, maybe the mustache has like psychic powers, being like, hey, time to get involved in this. But yeah, so shout out to Sharif there. Also, people asking about BRKA and what's happening there. So the NYSE was having some fun little technical difficulties, and I say fun little bit sarcastically, as much as I can muster. Basically, there are some issues. I know Barrick Gold was another one impacted by this. Some of these NYSE stocks, some stocks, the NY stocks, were having some kind of glitches. So that is what's going on with BRKA and some of its NYSE friends. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with IG PIMA. All I know is what's going on with the NYSE, which they said apparently they're looking into. So that's what's happening there. Let's see what, yeah, I mean, I have an A and B trade I can talk about, but I'm pretty proud of this. I got short here around 163.70, because I noticed I was like, hey, we have some chop and churn. I don't think it's going to be a super long trade, but I can try. So I think 70, where did I get involved in the start of this trade? I want to get the numbers right here. 75s, okay, perfect, 75s. So I went short. I got 50 pennies on this. Then I added to the position at around 70s, got another 20 pennies out of that. Then I still had the remaining half of my position, and then I lost about 15 pennies on that. So I'm up on the name. I was really just trying to risk very minimal, so I risked. The second we got above that 163.85, I said, eh. And then AMD was like, thank goodness you got out, because I will continue to go up. If AMD keeps bouncing off that 163.80 level, I actually do find it to be kind of spicy, less so on the chart and more so what I was seeing on the book. So that's what I'll be keeping an eye on right now. I don't have many stocks on my radar, I'm going to be honest. I'm still kind of warming up my trading for the day, but I will take a look at the gap, because I know that Manuel Palma was mentioning this one earlier, and this one was already on my side chart from last week. That VWAP bounce was great, but you know what I see more? A range. I see a range. Look at this little bounce here. We come into 30/60s, and the gap's like, I don't like that gap. We're gonna go down. I'm like, okay, gap. I see you, I see you. It's on the NYSE, which makes me slightly nervous given some certain technical difficulties that are going on in the NYSE, but I do like this look. Thank you, Samson Comp, for the nice words there. But yeah, we're gonna take a look. Also, Meta could maybe be giving you a shoulder shrug with that head and shoulders pattern, potentially, bless you. But let's wait and find out. If we stay below 476, this could get a little bit interesting for me. But I see you are involved in a microbot.
I'm just about to put in a dip trade, Adara, because this one had a great bounce off the volume weighted average price right around 1030, making a new high through 235. It's been awfully strong. The volume's been there, and there's been buyers at this 205 level. I'm going to put a dip trade right around $2 to front run the volume weighted average price level at 194. So that's what I like there. I realize that it's kind of doing a bottoming tail candle into the mid, let's call it 203s is the low there. I think this candle goes down to 202. Yeah, between 202 and 203. So that's exactly what I'll do. I'm going to sit over here. Oh, by the way, guys, sorry to say again, I'm in the sim today. Apparently, it has nothing to do with my exam. My ID expired, and so I have to send them a new ID. So another day in the sim. I do apologize, but that's kind of the way it is at the moment. So putting in my order for this one, I'm going to sit at 202s to defend that whole dollar level and see if I can get a dip off the volume weighted average price if it triggers in and around there. My line in the sand on this one is going to be obviously the break of VWAP on a closing basis, but if on a closing basis means I got to wait. But I won't wait if it dips below 181, because that's kind of the consolidation area low that we had before we broke up here at 1030. So MBOT looking for a dip trade. My hard out is the break of 180. On a closing basis, though, if a candle closes below the volume weighted average price, I'll cut that one too. So we'll see exactly what we get. GameStop is super interesting at this area over here because we have this double bottom at 27.89, 27.90. We're not that far away from it, but a buck from there right now. I don't know if this would be a good idea. I really haven't been watching GameStop on the day. I've had stuff to do this morning, but I was looking for a possible interesting double bounce or double bottom here off this high 27s area. So we'll see if that comes into play, maybe this 28 area. It looks like the better trade has been the 10-period rejection on the 5 here. As it came into the 10-period, rejected it, and curled right back down. So good look there for GameStop, Adara.
Yeah, I'm doing a thing on Paramount. And you might be like, Adara, what is going on? I might also be like this. This is really risky. This is not the way I normally trade. But I kind of have this idea. And the idea that I mean, it's more than an idea. I got involved, so we're committed now. We're sticking to it. But the plan here was, okay, and Paramount was already like, I don't care about your feelings. So if we get above these 77s decisively, I'm going to be getting out. I'm risking like 4 pennies because the plan was I didn't take like a huge amount of shares, but I took enough shares to kind of get you out of bed in the morning, to kind of wake you up, give you that shot of espresso. The plan was to just kind of gradually scalp out of this. I did like these wicks to the upside. I was like, okay, we're getting weaker. We're going to continue rejecting the 9 EMA. And I was like, okay, so you're going to like, you know, gradually piece out, get everything out around this 69 area. And Paramount was like, yeah, cool idea. I do not care. I care not at all. I was like, okay, Paramount, I understand. I respect you. That's fine. So we're going to be getting out of this trade now. It is what it is. It was an attempt, and Paramount did not care, because that's how the market goes sometimes. So, yeah, we did lose a little bit of this. Still up on the day, though, albeit obviously not on Paramount. But, yeah, didn't take too many shares, just took a few more, because you want to be able to try different things, right? This is still going to be a scalp play, but I really did think Paramount would continue having these little stutter steps to the downside. And Paramount had other plans. So I had to get off that mountain and try to find some other ranges to climb. Pun very intended, as it often is with me.
Was it a redstone?
Ooh.
Redstone Mountain?
Yeah, Sherry is Carrie. Yeah, that worked better in my head. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, we're gonna see if Paramount keeps sky dancing around that level. Okay, I'll stop now. Yeah. But that was pretty fun. Just some really specific Paramount puns. Thank you, Sherry, for joining me on that Paramount. But Tesla here, are we gonna bounce? Are we gonna bounce off 178? I don't know. I don't have a huge level of trade for this. It's more like if we bounce off 178, I'll be vaguely interested. I'll be more interested in this though if we reject off 179, because that was that little baby range we had earlier, and we know I do enjoy these ranges. I wish I had more ideas today, guys. I'm really just kind of seeing what happens. AMD, if you want to keep rejecting near that 164, that's where things get really spicy for me.
All right, long MBOT at this level. We got triggered at 202, stops in place through the break of 180. Profit taker is out there to wet my beak, possibly in front of 10. We'll have to see what comes. This did hold up quite well last time at VWAP, but that's not a hard and fast rule. It could hold up last time and absolutely tank this time. So we'll wait to see exactly what we get here. I'm looking for 2 different outs on a stop out. Either a hard stop below 180, so if the price action, even on a wicking basis, dips below 180, that'll stop me out for a 22 penny loser. Or if we get a closing print south of the volume weighted average price, I don't want any of that as well. So we'll continue to see what we get here. Already 6 pennies out of the wall, right back into flat. Now let's look at some large caps, because, well, we only looked at the small caps today, and I got to tell you, right offhand, Meta looks like a monster. So it was a bit of a tougher week last week for Meta. I mean, you can see here it's lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. The last few days of the week, so nice rebound today. We closed out on Friday right at that 467. We're already $10 above that today at the high, 477.5. HOD as we knock on the door of the whole dollar level again, 477 incoming. Interesting double bottom here near this kind of 474, 473.5. The first time around it wasn't a VWAP hold. Second time around it was. So interesting look. Look for a 477.5 decided break on a closing basis. That would be interesting there with that high just staring at me in the face. So Meta looking like the strongest of the bunch, over 2% in the clear right now. Microsoft continues to be a little bit weak. I know it recovered nicely on Friday afternoon there, but look at that big move down on Friday afternoon from the morning 418 all the way down into that 404 area. We've recovered most of it. We're kind of halfway in between right now on between the high and the low on Friday's price action. So 411.25 the low. It's making lower highs and lower lows though on the soft one. So we'll continue to watch that. Apple was awfully strong today, making another local high at that 195. But we did break above that level that we got into on the 28th. You'll recall in the in the pre-market there when the China news came out about China deliveries, Apple absolutely rocketed up in the pre and then sold off the entire day. But in that day on the pre-market, we only got to 194.80. Today we got to 194.99, not by much, but we'd still break that high. And it's also during the actual market hours, not in the pre. So volume not an issue there. Dancing with 194 at the moment. Let's see if this is able to break it. Tesla just bounced off the closing print. This has been an interesting level here for the Cybertruck. We got multiple bounces in the pre off this closing print at 178. That was Friday's close, and it's been once, twice, OB thrice. He'll be on in exactly 30 minutes to cover for me for 10 minutes. Obi-Wan Kenobi will grace you with his presence for a whole 10 minutes from 11:50 to 12. Yeah, exactly. Mini cameo. Thank you, dear. So this 178 area looks awfully good here on Tesla. And last but not least, obviously, goggles, a bit of a tougher day today for goggles after starting off pretty strong there. We're at the open, making that 174.5 touch a last, 171 3/4 low of day, lower highs, lower lows at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's an interesting look there for all of those names. Very happy I didn't short Meta. Oh my goodness. You know what I did try to short that I am also about is Apple. I did try to take a bite out of the Apple, and Apple was like, why would you do this? We are continuing to the upside. I said, okay, Apple, I respect that. I did like this chop and churn. We had around 193.85s, watched it a little bit, said, okay, let's get involved. If we kind of break near that 194, I'll be getting out. And we did, and I said, okay, bye, Apple, I see ya. So I left. Tesla, though, looks like I should have been keeping my eye on Tesla because Tesla had that exact rejection I wanted. So that wasn't a great success on my part. But you know what I mean? It put me to the Tesla, so now I just need to try to do my best if this comes back again.
Whoa.
I will stop with the Also, I love this message from Elon. I got a kick out of this. Hope you have a nice weekend, Adara and Sharif. Same to you. Boeing continues its secular uptrend, still sticking to 190 target despite delayed Starliner launch, and barring no toilets fall from the sky. Yeah, that would be obviously very good for Boeing. I know last week I was a little bit disheartened by the Boeing daily chart, but I mean, Boeing is actually interesting. Boeing had a little bit of a head and shoulders earlier today, right? We had that shoulder around 183 and change, another shoulder around 183 and change, head around this 184 area, waking up to 184.50. Let's take a look at this daily chart, because like I said, I have no, Boeing could definitely continue to push up here, and this daily chart is certainly a better look than it was last week when I saw it and was like, oh no, Boeing, knowing. But yeah, I mean, right now I do think this looks better. I think it would be, of course, a better look if we broke above this 187, especially with that 187 being not only previous resistance, but also previous support in the daily chart. So yeah, hopefully it does get to that 190. Shout out to you, Elon. I definitely have less of a scared face to make about this Boeing daily chart now, because we did have nice move up over the last few days. But I want to take a look at Microsoft as well, because I know you mentioned Microsoft, Sharif, and that was one I also had my eyes on.
Okay.
A little bit. I don't have an idea for it yet, but it is one that I think it's worth to look at the chart. Because what I see in my little short biased paradise, which again is something I'm trying to work on because I'm very cognizant of it, I don't know what it is. I find I don't trade as well when I'm long. I don't know why that is. But this Microsoft, though, if we keep rejecting around this 412.40s, this could be a short for me. I like that we had this failed wick up into that previous area of support around that 412.70s. Don't dislike that. I am not the Microsoft whisperer, which the man to my right is there, Sharif. But yeah, this is a nice little look here on Microsoft. I don't have a trade on it yet, but that's something I want. And I mean, Tesla, if you're going to nuzzle your little head up near that 179, don't mind if I do.
Wow.
Could be a look for me. Yeah.
Meta just absolutely skyrocketed there through that top that we were talking about there. As we were talking, it did it. 477.5 was the top. It's now at 479. So I put a dip trade to defend this area over here at 477.5. I put it at 477.55. It's a key area of resistance initially. So if we come back down, I'd like to see if it wants to act as a level of support. But no guarantees there. Meta breaking through resistance level 2 on pivots. The strongest name by far, 2.5% in the clear. Second strongest, well, I shouldn't say this, it's the strongest name. NVIDIA is technically the strongest name, 3 1/3, but NVIDIA has put in its top quite a while ago, and its top up is about $11 from where it is here. So price action wise, Meta's at the highs, NVIDIA kind of midway. The other one that's continuing to be strong is AAPL, and a nice little move into 195. It comes off to the 50, bounces off the 50, or it could be just defending of these institutional prints that printed at 8 a.m. I don't have a read on Apple at these levels, to be quite honest with you. I didn't anticipate anything off the 50, nor did it really jive with the 50 earlier to kind of give me a heads up. All right, you know, be cognizant of the 50 at these levels. So, well, we'll wait and see. Meta's really going here. 479 a third. Meta's going to hit 480. Wow, Meta was at 468.24 not that long ago, and we're going to touch 480, so that's a good $12 move on the name. I saw some people in the chat also talking about Amazon. Amazon put in a higher low, so I do see some sort of bullish, you know, trend changing here on Amazon. So the IB low takes us into that essentially 176. Now we're knocking the door of 178. This is what kind of got me interested. We broke the closing print here on Amazon. 176.50 initially, and then we held it on the second attempt to make a higher high. So there's a consolidation area top at that 177.25, and then we break through that decidedly. 177.25, we break that decidedly to break through VWAP and make another local high. So good look here for Amazon. I don't have trades on any of these at the moment, but well, looks like I may get stopped out of MBOT here because, well, it dipped in below the volume weighted average price, but it hasn't triggered me out yet. This one looks like it might be giving back some of the gains though. 89% in the clear here, MBOT. Let's have a look at that. Oh, there's this other one I forgot to mention, a bit pricier though, so you might be careful with this one. GPCR. So this one showed up on my scanner. It's only done 5 1/3 million shares. It's not a small cap gapper. It's about $2.5 billion. The short float on it, the float on it is 106 million shares. And let's see what the short float is. Let's bring down trade ideas. GPCR. Larger short float, not huge, 9.82%, so around that 10% mark. And that's the thing. We're probably going to see a lot of these ones running as people look for the heavily shorted names to kind of go here or there.
Yeah, there's a couple names that I've been watching that are now kind of coming in to previous areas of chop and churn and having a bit of a rejection. One of them is AMD. Look at this. We get this little chop and churn here around just shy of 165. We pop into 165 and we reject. I'm not going to short AMD here. If anything, I'd be looking for a long, but as AMD continues to fall, maybe that's not going to be the play. I do think there's something here for AMD. I've had a decent read on this name today, so I want to keep an eye on that. Also, Apple, I'm now flat on. I'm very proud of this little scalp I did. I saw Apple reject at 194.40 and said, Dara, you want the smoke? Got involved at 194.33, said, hey, if we get to 194.40, cut it off, and then Apple immediately fell, so I scalped out. I scalped out 40% of it at 10 cents in the money, scalped with the rest, I think about like 15 cents in the money. So was this like the trade of the year? No. But it was just a good example of me trying to scalp, find things that work, get in, get out like a little ninja. So please just punch about that. That is for sure taking that bite out of the apple, but I'm still flat on the name because of this previous deeply questionable short. Also, I mean, like Tesla, if you want to reject at this level, you don't have to tell me twice. I was talking about you earlier. So Tesla here, this is, I think for me, this is the trade I really wanted, that rejection of that 179. I do not think I will be getting that move. But you know what, if we break above 179.10s, then that's going to have to be my line in the sand, to use a term that is used on the show quite frequently. But yeah, I think my line in the sand might get, you know, trampled on by some kids like making sandcastles or something. I don't know. That analogy was weird. But that's, oh yeah, okay. And then as I say that, Tesla pops. So I'm like, you know what, Tesla, if you want to be long, that's fine. Just let me know. Let me know. But how are you doing over here?
Good. Having a look at PFE, Manuel Palma bringing Pfizer to my attention. And so this is the daily here on Pfizer. So one thing we can make an observation about is now we've put in higher highs. That wasn't the case for essentially since this high over here, which was December of 2022. So well over a year, it's been sequentially lower highs and lower lows. That all changed on this double bottom that we put in at 25 bucks starting April of this month. And now we made a higher high. So crest, you can make these, you can identify these areas as crests over here. We're above both of these areas, okay? So the second thing to look for is, number one, we claimed the 50 as well. That was the first time we claimed the 50 on a closing basis and then came back to test it for over a year. So that peak that we put in, like I mentioned, December 2022, we had not broken and reclaimed the 50. That is until this candle over here on May 1st. You get well above the 50, you get into the 200, you come back you test the 50, you hold it. This is interesting. This smells like the winds of change coming in on a name. And we know that they want to get into the GLP-1 business. We know that they had 2 studies canceled in 2023, and they're going to come back with a BID. BID means twice a day in Latin, oral medication. So it's not even going to be injection, which is some of the biggest complaints about these GLP-1s is that they come in injectable form. So that Pfizer promising an oral version of that. I'm very interested in this name as a trade, as a swing trade. That 25 double bottom, the reclaiming of the 50 on the daily, and the holding of the 50, and now the approaching of the 200 at that $30 level. Pfizer, super interesting for me as a swing. Less interesting as a day trade, but definitely something I'm very interested in as a swing. As a day trade, here's the 5-minute look. You can tell the majority of the closing prints all above that 10 EMA on the 5. You are getting wicks south of that, so you have to account for that if you're going to trade off the 10. You can't have a stop just sitting there willy-nilly below the 10 because it's already shown you its propensity to break through that on a wicking basis, but to move up and close above it. So PFE, a good look, great month of May for Pfizer. Let's call a spade a spade. This really started getting going here right at the beginning of May, and it's my favorite month. So
Oh yeah, that's true because it's your birthday month. But yeah, shout out to Sharif and the month of May. Also shout out to Pfizer because Pfizer did have quite the month. I remember I was in that short that one day, and then Josh Brown announces that he bought it on CNBC, and it goes up, and I'm like, But yeah, speaking of shorts, I'm short Microsoft. You need to take trades you have conviction in. I have so much conviction in this Microsoft short, it's not even funny. Maybe it is funny. I wanted to see what we did at 412.80s. We get to 412.80s, and like clockwork, Microsoft says, no, thank you, no. So it goes back down. I'm like, okay, Microsoft, keep doing that. Keep doing that. If you keep doing that, I might actually add to you at 412.80s. So that's the level I like. You might be like, Adara, why 412.80s? Kind of a random level, no? I like this little chop and turn area we had earlier. I also feel continuously emboldened by these little wicks we had into 413 that Microsoft is like, no, no, no. Continuing to the downside on. Don't know why I'm using this voice, but it is what it is. I do like this MSFT. I don't know why I said that like that. I do not enjoy these slightly higher lows, mind you, but I think to me, as Sharif says, you have to go in the balance of the evidence. For me, the balance of the evidence is we had this previous level that we have seen some rejection of. We have these topping tail candles pretty heavily at 413. I think to me right now, I feel overwhelmingly like this could be a short. We're also seeing a little bit of a pause here on the Qs. The Qs sitting pretty as well. So I'm like, if the Qs are going to keep sitting pretty and waiting for their opportunity with these topping tail candles, MSFT short might be the place to be. I have had some questionable shorts, some questionable managements of trades today on Tesla, because if I had been more patient in that, I actually would have been fine. So it is what it is. I know that the short bias is like kind of problematic, for lack of a better term, and something I want to work on because I want to be able to take other trades. But I mean, you have to stick with what works for you. I do find, for whatever reason, when I find shorts that work, I'm better able to execute those than the longs. I don't know why that is, but I think right now I'm going to try to focus, look at a few less names because I have been involved in more names than I necessarily would have liked to today. Just trying to take opportunities that I like. But Microsoft, if you want to keep dropping, you know who plays his punch?
Who?
Me.
Oh, okay.
I would. So there we go. MSFT in the place to be. Yippee. We'll get out of this if we get to 25s. That'll be the goal here. I like 25 because that was kind of around where we had that top and turn earlier. And I want to make sure to take some profits because, like I said, I do think Microsoft overwhelmingly has that short case, but I do think there's some argument you could make about it potentially being a long here. So, like, I get that. I want to be cognizant of that, and that is why we have a little profit taker set up because it's always so fun when you turn around and you're like, oh, my position got filled. So that's a good time. What else is going on? Dell, some people mentioning here. So I know Gaurav was saying that Dell looks like a nice bounce opportunity. So let's take a look at that Dell. Oh, I got out of Microsoft. So, okay, yeah, Dell, I mean, whew, Dell like knocking, not even just knocking, pounding at the door of VWAP. Dell's like, let me in at VWAP. Like, look at this. This is the opposite of a Christmas tree retracement.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Look at that. It's like, it literally
it looks
is
like
an inverse head and shoulders.
Yeah.
We said that at the same time.
Yeah.
Jinx not going, no, I'm joking.
But
I do like this look here. We did have this 132 come back down here to 129, then come back up, pause at 132, push above, view up. Hopefully you are involved in this name right now, Grav. If you are, shout out to you. Hope you are printing. It looks like you are if you got involved at a certain point. I know you mentioned, I believe, the daily chart as well. So let's take a look at Dell and see what's in the well here at Dell. Also, here's a really good example of these NYSE issues we're having. On the book, it looks like we're at 131.50s. On the chart, I'm seeing 133.60s. So it's about a $2 difference. So just be cognizant, especially if you are here at using P-Pro 8 here with real trading. There is something in the water in the NYSE. But yeah, this daily chart, I totally see what you mean. We're bouncing off this level of that 133.50s. That's not a bad look at all, Gaurav. Hope you print. So there you go. How are you doing? Also, I'm happy I got out of Microsoft because it bounced back and I bounced out. How are you doing over here?
I'm very close to getting stopped out of MBOT. It looks like it's finding support at that 180 area, that we earmarked, but if it doesn't, that's the end of the story because we're sitting at 178 for the Gonzino. So keep an eye on MBOT, but I want to point these out here. GME, AMC, both getting curls up, both into key areas, at least it looks like, of resistance on the intraday chart. So AMC rejected off the 20, which is the yellow line, solid yellow line on my chart. That was a double top over here at 10:30 and 10:35. We're right back there right now. Can't seem to close above it, let alone wick above it. So 20 period looks like a resistance on AMC for me. Now, I was about to say the same thing here on GME, but this time I was going to talk about the 10, not the 20, because we came back into the 10 here in the mid 10:30, 10:45-ish area, got into the 10, rejected, no closing prints above the 10, but here we go. Now we're wicking above the 10, but we haven't closed on this 5-minute candle, and we've got 3 more minutes. So I'm very interested here in possibly taking a short on GME. I am in the sim, so you know, definitely a little bit less honest. Let's call a spade. Shorting GME in the sim is not the same feeling as of shorting it in real life because, well, we all know why. If you were live in 2022, you know, or 2021, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So anyway. It's breaking above the 10 period right now. I want to see what it does with this 30.5. That's the 20 period. The deeper retracements on a trending stock tend to make it into the 20 period, then retrace if they are going to continue heading down. That has been my observations of these trending stocks, but it looks like GME is going to break above here, and it's knocking on the door of 30. GameStop trying to get its footing under it. As it tries to do that, I'll tell you about another small cap gapper that just showed up on my scanner. It goes by the ticker ALBT. Avalon Global Care, $10.5 million market cap, 20 million shares so far. The float, 4.8 million shares. Let me find out what the short float is, if any. ALBT. 1.25%, so negligible kind of. This one did a topping tail candle through $1, 106 HOD. It's below 1 now. There's a trade here, whether a long or a short. Off 1, let's see how this develops, whether it's able to claim 1 on a closing basis and then use it as a level of support or whether it rejects it entirely. ALBT kind of making moves here. Here comes GameStop into the 20. So GameStop just took $30 and now is coming into the 20 exponential on the 5. We'll see what it does here. AMC last time rejected off the 20 exponential. AMC is above the 20 exponential now though, baby. So are they getting a little bit of a pump here? What's going on with these memes? I know I'm just kind of maybe grasping at straws, but GameStop just squeezed nicely there through $30 and right into that 20 period. Shout out to the Katina man. He's long on that name. The Katina man is long at GameStop at this level, so make sure, if you don't already do it, you go on over to more Trader TV Live, our other simultaneous stream, and find out what the Katina man is trading, what the Neil is trading while we're dropping hotlines. Link in bio, Adara.
You know what other stream to watch as well is the Freedom and Wealth podcast. That first episode did come out, it came out on Saturday, and that was a great watch, really entertaining, talking about freedom and wealth and how to obtain both. Also, I accidentally closed all my charts again because I keep doing the thing where I accidentally wave and everything goes down. But here's the Freedom Wealth Podcast. 735 subscribers. If you want to be one and if you want to watch the new episode, definitely do that. Shout out to Freedom and shout out to Wealth. Unfortunately, I did accidentally close all my charts, so I'm going to have to quickly reopen those. So I can talk about Apple because I'm happy with this.
I can take over for you.
Yeah, I don't mind. I'll just quickly talk about this Apple trade before I go because that's actually up on the chart. I have half of this position out. If we stay below VWAP, I'll stay in this. I am aware this was kind of a dicier trade, but I was like, hey, I keep seeing this rejection around that 194.20s. Risk into 194.30, Adara. What could it hurt? It did not hurt, which was nice. But we're going to get out the rest here, I think, around this 194s because I am noticing we're coming back up a little bit here. Yeah, Apple. Okay, Apple, that's fine. You want to keep going up? I'm okay with that. It's cool. No, I'm joking. We'll figure it out. Really just trying to scalp, work on playing ranges, playing areas I like. I was looking at too many stocks earlier, but now I've really honed in my focus on Apple, Microsoft, and to a lesser extent, AMD and Tesla. That being said, if Paramount, if you want to, chop and turn back to that range, I'll be right there with you. How are you doing?
I'm all right. We got that defend at 180 here, so it didn't actually break 180. I'm talking about MBOT, and that was the level that we had our stop at. Actual hard stop through was sitting actually at 178. Here comes back into 191. We're long 197, so let's see if we can get a curl up through to kind of breaking my rule here. The truth, I don't trade these small cap gappers on a breakout strategy through VWAP, so this is definitely breaking my rule. And I don't do that often, but I guess I'm doing it today. So anyway, long MBOT, looking for a reclaim of 2 and then something in and around 210 or so. If it breaks 180 on a closing basis, that's going to be the end of my trade. This other one here. So GPCR is the one that I was telling you about earlier, 55% in the clear, a bit more of an expensive name here for a trending stock that's up 55 some odd dollars. It's not a small cap gapper either. It is a bigger company, GPCR, whereas it's about, what did I say it was? It was like $2.5 billion market cap, just came into the 10 on the 5, the 10 EMA on the 5, that $52 level. Interesting look for the dip here. Every single retracement subsequent to 940 has bounced off the 10 period on a closing basis. So this has been a very strong name. I don't even know what the reason, oh, here it is. Structure Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the company reported top-line data from its phase 2A study of whatever this drug is. What do they do? Weight loss drug candidate. It looks like, is it GLP-1? Let's find out here. Obesity study demonstrated critically meaningful, substantial. Okay. It doesn't say if it's a GLP-1. No. Okay. Well, it is, as expected. GLP-1 RA drug class. Okay, so another GLP-1. We know what Lilly and Novo Nordisk have done. So good look here. Bouncing off the 10. It didn't even quite make it down into the 10. It made it down to the whole dollar around 52. And right back up it goes. GPCR awfully strong on the day. It's about time we loaded this bad boy up on the trading screen and gotten a dip trade off this 10. So let's take off Disney here. And the reason I had Disney on is because big Kyle Burdett was shorting this one off 104 today. And we happen to just go back and forth here. So I took an interesting little trade on it. Let's load up GPCR on the NQ. And I'm going to put in a dip trade for that $52 area there.
Yeah, I mean, this Apple, I'm really proud of. We went from making a questionable trade on this to being able to recover and make trades that made sense on Apple. Right now, though, Apple, if you go above 194.40, you and I are homies right now. I know I just talked to the stock there, but that's what I'm telling you. I'm saying, hey, Apple, if you are going to be below 194.40, then we can chill. That's great. We can have a great old time hanging out, just jumping around these ranges. But if you're going to break above that level, we're not besties anymore. Why am I talking to the stock? I don't know. It's a Monday. Good times. We're going to have some more coffee. And we're just going to look at these markets. Also, it's funny. As I said that, Sharif also grabbed his coffee. So I love that. Good times. Coffee pals. But yeah, Apple, to me, I still think this range may be intact. I think as long, like I said, if we stay below 194.40, I have absolutely zero qualms. I mean, I have the same amount of qualms you'll always have in a trade, mind you, but I don't have a huge amount of qualms about shorting this. I think I should have been faster on this because I've noticed the second we get that rejection with Apple, we reject everything. Apple has been, as Sherry was mentioning, the dead one who? Dead one what? Zombie, huh? Like, Apple is coming back to life. Apple got a jolt of electricity. So nice look there for AAPL. If it wants to be a day trading stock, I will trade it like it is one. So there we go. But I think this Microsoft actually might be, oh, never mind. I got into Apple. So there we are. We're in Apple now. Good times. I want to clarify again, this wasn't like a trade I didn't want to be in. I just didn't think I'd get my level. So that was what the issue was. Microsoft, oh, that's not Microsoft. I put a 5 in there for some reason in that ticker. MS to the F to the T in the place to be. This to me.
That looks freaking amazing.
That's an amazing short. I'm going to take this again. Thank you, Sharif, for that.
I happen to love that level.
Yeah, this is the type of.
And do you know that's off pivots too? Those
Is
exact, like, look at this. I'm gonna put it on here just so that you can see exact, like, literally off.
Oh, that's
it is
beautiful.
the middle ground there on your trade. So I love that trade, by the way.
Thank you. I'm going to try to get involved if I can because it's not letting me in right now, so it's a little sad. But there we go. Hopefully we can get in. I'd take a smaller position just because I was also involved in the Apple there. So 2 shorts. Shout out to the rapper Too Short, because that was actually an accidental shout out there. But here we go. There we go. Come on, Apple. Come on, Apple. Do your thing, 21. I don't know why I'm yelling at like I'm a dad at the side of, a children's soccer game or something. But here we are. We're going to be getting the rest out here around view up. I am indeed pleased as punch. It's about having confidence, or Seanfidence, if you will, although I'm not Sean, so but I think that having that conviction is the biggest thing, and I love the Seanfidence button. One thing that Sean said a while ago on his Twitter that I always quote and I always come back to, and I have on my little notes to myself, my version of a trading journal, because I think it's super key, is in order to make money, you must attempt ideas.
Okay.
And so that was something that Sean said that I think is really, really stuck with me. And I always, because I think if you, well, having the ideas is one thing. Committing to them is quite another. Out of Apple again. Microsoft working out here. I am pleased as punch. Microsoft, if you want to break below 412s, I'll feel a heck of a lot better. But right now, I have no reason to leave this trade. And thank you, Sharif, for helping instill that further confidence by showing me those pivot points. Microsoft, keep going down.
Down.
How are you doing?
Fantastic over here. Long meta at this level. We're looking for a defend of this 477.5. So let's go ahead and put a little beak wetter at the low 80s to take a 30 penny move here on meta. Oh, there we go. We got filled. Let's see if we can wet our beak at the whole dollar at 478. 450 penny winner, and there it is. We take that one as well. This was super simple, not simple trade, but the idea was super simple. This is an obvious crest, an obvious level of resistance. I was sitting here for a while, and the spread was such that I didn't get filled. So finally, I do get filled on this level, and we're nicely in the money over here, but we can't overstay our welcome too long on the monster meta. So be looking for some more profit takers, maybe on the other side of 478. I'll put it at the $0.25 level. If we can get some continuation through there, that would just be aces. So keeping my eye on that. The trade that really isn't kind of going my way, I got to tell you the truth, is MBOT. We're about 6 or 7 pennies out of the money on this one, as it really is below VWAP, and this is breaking my rule. Let's call a spade a spade. I don't often do it, but hey, I did it this time. Anyway, GPCR set up a dip trade for 52, and then look how it was wicking in. The spread is a little wider on this one, about 18 pennies right now. Oh yeah, my mistake there. And then move right back into that $55 area. So we'll see if we can get that 52 dip, and then we'll pop right back up. We'll have to wait and see there. But I'm going to throw it to you, Adair, because Obi's going to come on.
Yes, we do have Obi making a guest appearance. Also, this Microsoft, I'm proud of this. This was a Scalp Nation, Scalp Central, whatever. Shout out to The Sopranos. I'm trying to be Edie Scalpa over here. Shout out as well to Edie Falco. But basically why I did this was I like this short. We were below the 90 EMA, and it also turns out pivots. So shout out to Sheree for telling me about that. But I like this 90 EMA rejection. I was like, cool, cool, cool. Took that, realized we were bouncing a bit, said, Adair, if you can get 412s, be happy with that. Took 20 pennies. This would have been better had I had more shares, but I was also in that Apple trade, which I was pretty proud of as well. Took about 30 pennies with the remainder of that position. This, I'll continue taking shorts off that 194.40 level if that continues to scream at me like it might be a level. Tesla as well, this 179 has been spicy, but I've had way less of a focus on that than I have with Microsoft and Apple. I feel like the execution for myself with Microsoft and Apple has been way stronger. Apple went from my weakest name of the day to the strongest name of the day right now. Again, who knows if it'll stay like that, but it's really just about having conviction, taking trades you like. I mean, Microsoft, though, if you want to bounce off the 9 EMA now, like, hey, I'll take you long. I have no problem with switching the style up. And if they hate, let them hate. And watch the money pile up. So we're gonna have to see if that works out. Let's see what happens here. Monty G says, Obi, with lots of exclamation points. So someone is excited for our special guest. Obi, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I am good, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Living life. What have
How's
you
it
been
going,
looking
everyone?
at? Pardon?
I have been watching GME.
That's fair.
It is definitely the one to watch today. I think off of the open, some of the stuff in the pre-market as well. We saw that Roaring Kitty kind of posted his P&L update on Reddit over the weekend, and that definitely brought some volume in with the 4 a.m. candle on GME. That was very interesting, and yeah, a pleasant surprise to kind of wake up to. But yeah, it's kind of faded off of the open, and it's starting to consolidate right now. But yeah, what have you been trading?
I mean, I've just been doing some scalps in Microsoft and Apple. That's really kind of been, I've had some other trades, but those to me, like these are the ones that I've kind of feel like the most I've been on my vibe with. So I had this Microsoft. I'm gonna have to get out of this because I was trying to switch to the long and this was not the vibe. I should have stayed short. But yes, perfect. I'm sorry, give me 2 seconds there. Yeah. Now, though, we are going to be taking a moment to thank our lovely sponsors here at American Airs. So American Airs, we are brought to you by American Airs, which is trading in the USA under the symbol AAIRF, in Canada under the symbol WIFI. The company did just announce a knockout punch, a global marketing partnership with the UFC. Airs Tech is dedicated to bridging the gap between technology and wellness. Airs Tech's mission is to provide cutting-edge solutions that protect against electromagnetic radiation without disrupting everyday use of technology. This innovative company has seen consistent revenue growth and boasts several high-profile customers like Russell Brand and top UFC athletes. Invest in American Airs today. OTCQB, AAIRF, CSE, WIFI. Thank you so much to American Airs for sponsoring us today. But yeah,
thank you.
Thank you, American Airs. Yeah, the big thing I've been looking at, I just kind of stumbled out of this Microsoft because I'm going to be honest, kind of panic sold a bit because I was like, oh, do the ad read. Yeah, this would have been a fine trade. I think Microsoft is flipping, so if we keep seeing that bounce, I'll keep getting in here. And then the other main trade I had was just shorting Apple off the 194.
Nice. Yeah, no, we saw that crazy move. Oh, it seems like Sharif may had an order. Out, so it seems like he got filled. I don't know, like I'm not touching his positions here, but fair. He was long. Nice. He got the bottom long right there. I guess I can't touch his mouse here, but I'm not going to take any fills on his account. He'll be back in a few minutes. But yeah, no, that's pretty solid there. He took the long off of the consolidation low and then pushing. Yeah, you're drinking on Meta. Okay.
Let's go.
All right. Well, I was not expecting. Thanks, guys. I love these guys.
Congrats, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
yes.
basically,
You can. All right, cool.
It's your thing.
So it's been a long time coming. Thanks, guys. I was not expecting that at all. Sharif was just like, oh, I just need 10 minutes. I thought it was like for a phone call or something. But yeah, no, thank you. I did graduate the program as of last Friday. But yeah, it was a long time coming, as you guys know, almost 2 years here on the floor. I would like to thank everybody for just supporting me on the way. You guys know this is a great show. It's a great team. It's a great floor as well. We got some solid mentors and managers as well, as you guys know, the big dogs. But yeah, no, it was steady. It was a work in progress. And Sean.
All right, Obi. First of all, congratulations, my guy.
Thank you.
everybody remembers, Obi, a couple months ago, you were crowned the next one. Now we have to find somebody else. Obi has done the work. He's put in the work. And this is what happens when you're dedicated as a trader, smart individual, take risks. I mean, this guy's put in a lot of work sitting in my spot, Sharif's spot, Adair's spot, Neil's spot, and everybody. So, you know, from everybody here at Trader TV Live, I want to thank you, Obi, for your consistent covering for us, your consistent knowledge that you bring to the show. And again, congratulations on the graduation. Hopefully, big things to come for the Padawan. That is Obi. Thank you, Obi.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, this is again. What's the next trade is the question, right? This is just the beginning, potentially beginning of a new chapter. And yeah, no. At the end of the day, it's just going to be a steady kind of journey. Again, we talk about. I remember being on the show the first time. I was like, yeah, trading is definitely a journey, and what a journey it has been. Definitely, look at the boys taking those putts. Yeah, the classic putting mat. It was so funny. Right before the trade, I took a couple of putts, and I got like two hole-in-ones, I guess. And I was like, all right, that's the mental I'm going to take to it. But yeah, no, thank you to Sean, thank you to Neil. Thank you to Brankles. Thank you to Wayne. Thank you to Greg as well. I know he's not here anymore, but definitely a lot of wisdom and knowledge that's being dropped. Thank you to Brendo. Thank you to Sharif and Adara as well. Again, great environment to be in. But yeah, I don't have much else to say. But yes, of course. Yeah, Max sits right beside me. I am very thankful. Yeah, Sharif's like, what about Max? I'm like, yeah, of course, Max. Again, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful to kind of sit beside another mentor of mine, which is Max, and kind of learning from him as well. Definitely along the way did help quite a bit. And yeah, there's Sharif on his phone. And yeah, thank you guys as well, kind of joining along in the journey over the past almost 2 years, I think. It will be 2 years on the floor in August, so just a couple months shy off of that. But yeah, this is just the beginning. This isn't even my final form. So let's move on to the next trade. And with that, I will pass it back to Sharif. Have a great midday, guys.
Yes, if I may leave you with a pun, though, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah, it wasn't a great one.
That was a great one.
Congrats to you. Congrats, though, seriously. Congrats to Obi. Thank you so much, everybody, as well, for celebrating. We have a couple super chats for you as well. Vince bought with a $4.20 super chat. Congrats, Obi. Willis Addison, $2 super chat. Ha! Congrats, Obi. My dude, you're next, Dara. Thank you, Willis Addison. And last but not least, Kyle Burdett, $10 super chat from Big Kyle Burdett. Yeah, you can read this one if you want.
Yeah, sure. It's saying, great job. Very happy to have been able to watch you come on the show and grow and help us all to get better. Yeah, for sure, man. It's definitely been great, and I'm glad that you guys have been here. Hopefully, you guys are learning a lot from all the hosts. And you know that Neil and Sean definitely put on some solid trades for you guys to learn off of, and I definitely was honored to sit beside both those individuals and kind of learn some of the ways there. So yeah, I am very grateful. But yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you so much, Obi, for coming on there. I've learned so much from Obi as well here. So I mean, just spreading all that knowledge. It's been so great to kind of see people grow alongside each other. There's so many great people on this floor. It's always a great opportunity. I learned from everyone back here. So I think it's great that we were able to have that opportunity to see all the guys in the back come and support Obi. Congrats on that graduation there. What a time to be alive. And also, I do love Sharif just casually trolling in the background. Like, what about Max? Because that's what we do here. We're always in character at all times. Sharif just stuck his tongue out. I enjoyed it. Tony Zimbabwe, $9 or $10 super chat. Congrats, Obi. So this was, so many people congratulating Obi there. We're going to give him another round of applause because that was a fantastic Fantastic time.
Obi.
And we're so happy to be able to have him on the show. Also, we were getting so in character there that for a second I forgot about the whole surprise. And I was just chatting with Obi about stocks. And he was like, oh, should I get out of Sharif's position on this meta?
Well,
So
hey,
good
we're back
time.
in the money, Adara, so that's all right there, right? Because, yeah, he was trying to be a good person. You know, we're out of the money. He's trying to take care of my position. The one that can always doing the absolute most in a good way.
Oh, yeah.
And by that, I mean, like, he stays late, he comes early, he does all what needs to be done to put in the hard work, so shout out to him. So I put another beak wetter there on Meta, but it's gonna have to hold this 10 period on the 5 on a closing basis, and there's about 30 seconds left on this candle here. Let me just double check that. No, 10 seconds left on this candle, so if it can hold above the 10 period, then I won't be forced out of this position. We're long 55s, it's printing 72s. We got as high as 25s on that, so it's 75 penny winner, but if it breaks down below the 10, that's the end of this trade, and it has to hold above this crest right here. That was the reason I had a dip trade here to defend that level. Doesn't defend, then the end of the trade is near. Let's keep an eye on MBOT as well. That one is annoying me to no end because it's really, I'm in this trade against my rules. I don't go long these small cap gappers on a breakout strategy south of the volume weighted average price, and that's exactly where this one is. Alas, it hasn't triggered my out because my out has been below 180, waiting at 178, and it hasn't printed that. So that may be forthcoming, but hasn't come quite yet. Now, a couple of the other trades that we talked about here, we were yelling up a storm when GME broke through the 10 and got into the 20 on the 5. And look where, lo and behold, it found resistance again on the 20 in the same way that AMC had done the exact same thing and is doing the exact same thing. AMC can't really break above this 20 period moving average, and now we're putting in lower highs here. So it could be another round to top for the heavily shorted names after a nice move up there in the pre. But sadly, continuity on this one, a little bit tougher on the day. So we'll continue to watch, see what we get.
Yeah, for a second, I'm not gonna lie, when you said I was in this trade against my rules, I thought you were gonna say I was in this trade against my will, and I was like, are we good? I had so many questions.
Who's there?
Yeah, I was like,
who's forcing you in this trade?
Who's possessing you, Sharif? But yeah, good times. Also, this Microsoft, I am really proud of this. I just keep taking like 20-cent scalps here, risking up into 40s, getting out at 412.20. So I'm gonna keep doing that. Tried a long scalp here that actually would have worked, but then I was like, oh, I see the ad rate. I can't leave Microsoft alone for 2 seconds. I don't know what that voice was. I sound like a gremlin, but I think I felt like a gremlin with that little trade because that was not the vibe. So we're gonna have to say no to that Microsoft long. Just keep taking these short pops every time we get to that 9 EMA, which also happens to be pivots. And I mean, we love pivots over here. And it's funny too, sometimes I'll see a level and I'll be like, oh, I like this level. And then Sharif's like, did you know that's a pivot? And I'm like, no, I didn't, but I like it even more. Because you know what we love? Shout out to the man who was just sitting in that chair, confluence. We love seeing that confluence. We love seeing when multiple things, bless you, come together on a chart. And so I think that's always great. Also, Microsoft is laughing at me for getting out of that short too early. It's like, dropped another 40 pennies. I mean, I'm just pleased as punch we took that profit. On to the next trade, or where's the next trade, as Obi says. And that's something we definitely want to aspire to. And again, congrats to him. Also, bless you over there. AMD, I just typed AM, so that's a moment. Now I typed AMDA, so Dara, if you could just get the ticker right, this would be really fun. AMD, look at this. Coming back to that low of the day. I don't want to get involved in this. This is really not my type of trade. I should have probably waited for that 164 rejection, or not waited, but that would have been more the trade for me. We're gonna have to wait and see what we do here. AMD presenting you with some opportunities. We kind of keep rejecting at these previous levels. Support and resistance, so let's see what happens. Everyone asking you about BRKA. There are some issues with certain NYSE stocks. They're having some glitches, they're looking into it. That's what happened with BRKA. It did have a little bit of a glitch. So there we go on that. What else is going on here? Tesla. Apparently, some people want to take a look at Tesla here. Show to Comp SRX. Yeah, I mean, Tesla having that little bit of a rejection here just below that 180, which is that previous area, had a little bit of support, continuing to fall to the downside. Tesla trying to be at the lows of days down, as Sharif said. But how goes that meta?
Killer. Yeah, killer. Stopped out.
Nice.
for break even on the first part, right back in at the 20 period at 476.50, and we just took like 30, almost $1 there, 75 pennies on that. We got bottom wick at 476.59 or 62s. Okay, my bad, 62s, and then right above we go, almost $1 in the money on this, super quick here on META, and this is the candle that it put right at the 20. So, I mean, it held up beautifully at the 20 earlier, and it's doing the same thing right here. The deeper retracements come into the 20. The more shallow retracements on a trending stock come into the 10. I'm going to keep saying that over and over until I'm wrong. And right now, I'm not wrong. So happy with this trade. Let's see if we can continue to go up on this one. Where are we at right now? So now we're $1 in the money on this meta trade. We are in the sim, guys. I want to make that very clear. I'm not live today. Something is afoot with my ID, and it needs to be updated before I'm allowed live privileges again. Apparently, it has nothing to do with the exam. It is my ID. So we shall fix said ID, hopefully today. Anyway, beak wetter, another beak wetter set up at 69s. We're printing 42s right now, so let's see if we can get a nice dip and pop off that 20 EMA on the 5-minute and maybe touch that 480 that we've been accumulating for. I'm talking about META here, bunch of topping tail candles at around 1120 to 1135 or so, even after that. Topping tails into that general vicinity of 480. Couldn't break through that. 479 3/4 though, actually below 2/3 as well, 479.60 HOD on META. Let's go back and have a look at MBOT. We're still not stopped out. Believe it or not, this thing won't break 178, but it's not doing anything that's profitable for me because I'm long 197 and we're 13 pennies out of the money because we're printing 184s. But, you know, in the way that this one was dancing with the volume weighted average price earlier, now it's dancing with it on the other side, the south side of the volume weighted average price. And that is not good for a breakout trade in my humble estimation. So I will continue to hope, and that's all I got here because the technicals don't side with me. I will hope that this one pops back above the 20 period. This is against my rules, and this is why I don't do things against my rules. Let's look at GPCR because that one is a beauty, but alas, we went unfilled over here. GPCR, great trade today, 61%, 61.5%. As I talk about it, we did get really close to getting filled at 52. But it didn't end up coming in. The whole point of this 52 dip was to take a 10-period retracement, but it didn't fill, and so that's no longer valid for me.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, that took me.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, isn't it so frustrating when it's like you can't leave the position, but you also don't want to stay because it's doing nothing like that?
People.
Oh, is that the mustache? The mustache comments?
Yes, I did actually take a new picture for my ID, and it is with the stash, so it will be a full ID with the stash. That's how much I'm committed to the stash.
Yeah, so I have a question.
Okay.
You said last week the stash was, quote, in its infancy.
It is.
What is your plan for the stash going forward?
I don't know. It's kind of like a work in progress. We're going to see. I have never grown the stash, so I don't know what to expect. Well, I had it with my beard, but I would always trim it to like a level 4 so it wouldn't go haywire, right?
Level 4.
Not like you know what that is. But anyway, I trim it so that it wouldn't be like up in my face and stuff. The focus was supposed to be on the beard. Now the focus is going to be on the stash, right?
So you're like fully like having like a whole like landscape going on with this mustache. Like this is like, you know, like what the gardeners or whatever, like that's what's happening here. Like it has like a whole focal point.
I'd like to pretend I'm a little bit better than the grass that I step on every day.
I'm
but,
sorry.
You know, if you want to analogize it in that.
I meant more like,
you know
like,
I'm kidding, right? Don't think that I'm serious.
I'm not like
right?
that.
Like, you know, I'm kidding. You know how I do.
He's a very good actor though, but I do know how you do. That is true. Also, Ramin is dying in the background.
I know, I can hear her. Who can't hear Ram laugh on any given day and anywhere in the world?
Her laugh is so contagious.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, shout out there. Go long on stash, says Solo Cristo.
Oh,
so I guess,
mutton chops. All right. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Anyway, what do we got here? Big Rob's Pro Stash. All right, Big Rob, I see you. I see you. Day Trader Cut laughing up at me. Well, come on now. You know, we're having a good time up in this show. What else we got? Vinay Moon, keep it clean, man. Let's go. Yes, we do have Neil's lesson coming up soon, so be sure to hang out for that Neil's lesson of the day every day around noon hour, guys. All right, let's have a look at what else is moving here as we talk up a storm. It looks as if AMC broke above the 20 period here on a closing basis. So If you were trying to take a short off the 20 and earlier it held, it looks like now this candle over here right at 12 o'clock puts the kibosh on that idea. So now I'll be looking at the 50 or the $5 area. We know we had a double top there through 5 at around 10:30. It wicked into 504, and then you got closing prints south or at 5, and then we printed lower lows after that. So 492. Below 5 right now, AMC, but the volume is really dropping off here. And that is the end of my MBOT trade. I do get stopped out as it breaks there, that 180 level. So we do get stopped out at 178. So now 1 for 1, good on Meta, not so good here on MBOT. Adara.
They're trading two names with M's. It's M and M over here.
Right.
But you know what? Does not start with an M. Is Neil? That was a bad transition. Neil's lesson of the day. Let's go see what Neil has to say over here. Neil Roberts. Woo.
Hey, welcome everybody. It's going to be a fun one today. It's always great, and you just saw the festivities for Obi, and I think, you know, if anyone that's been through the journey understands that trading, A, is not easy, B, can be lonely, and, you know, C, is obviously really rewarding when you get some kind of a breakthrough. And we get really great comments all the time, like people helping each other, congratulating each other in the chat, which I think is a lot of fun. And what I love is sometimes like the simple advice that I see in the chat. Like maybe we'll be talking about a concept or an idea, and then all of a sudden I just see like one person summarize it. And I'm like, wow, that's just perfect. And you know, it's not something I've heard before is going to be the theme of the lesson, and it was like lose small, win big. And it's easy to say that, but I think one of the things that we as traders often miss are when you're in those bigger opportunities, like the ones that could really go, the ones that had that upsized potential, you know, when they don't work out, you've got to understand to curtail that downside. Now, if you look at something like GameStop today, which is a perfect example of that whole mentality, there is no question that the potential of that stock doing 100 million volume today, gapped up 80% in the pre-market, roaring kitty and all that good stuff. There's no question that had the potential on the long or the short side to be an absolute humongous opportunity. And what you have to be able to do is, A, when you get into these trades, have a concept of where your R&R, risk to reward is going to be. Where's your out going to be? And then from there, you can start moving forward, because you could get really aggressive on the stock, holding for one big break, being long the entire way, but you've got to have yourself an out. And I'm going to double down on that in a second here, because we did a couple of things okay and a couple of things that I wasn't too happy with when it came to GameStop. The things that I think were okay today was any chance that this had of breaking out the top, I think started getting pretty obvious to a lot of people if you were watching in the pre-market. Gapped up, it made a run at about 7 o'clock. Some of the traders just probably barely missed this move coming in early, you know, where it got that 7 o'clock, 40 to like $45, $46. Then it was in pullback mode. There's a clear downtrend since that move at 7 a.m. And after that, it did bounce. And a lot of people like that long off of this support level at about 39. And there's nothing wrong with being in it. You take scalp. Whether you're in it to hold it for a break, there could be $5, $10 worth of upside or even more, and you're risking 1 or 2. You know, whether you're doing that or you're scalping some and holding some, all of those are particularly valid. Now, what you have to be careful for is, we know there's a chance that it upholds. Now, you would have heard me say, I want to be long into it. If it breaks out the top, look for a long at the open, and if it goes into a halt, hold through that halt. If that's going to be $4 or $5 worth of upside, I don't necessarily want to lose 4 or 5 on that trade. So for me, getting the stop out here makes a lot of sense. Like, let it break the bottom, but I don't want to get trapped in a halt trade. The thing about those big moves, it's one thing to hold through a gap. It's another, for a winning trade through a gap, it's another thing to hold a losing trade through a gap. And when a stock has a potential to hold, you want to consider that. So sometimes there are situations, if you're in the money, you don't mind holding through a halt up or down. But if you're just off a support level, don't let it go into that halt off the open. And sometimes what will happen in this situation is they liquidity grab. Maybe it breaks the low by a couple of cents and then rockets back to the upside. You got to be willing to sit through that and just take the L in a situation. If they rinse me out, then that's fine, because you know what's still available? You can try to get back in at 40, you can try to get a 42 break. There's all kinds of ways that you can jump back into that trade. while still having your stop out. That allows you to try to lose relatively small to what your potential win can be. And obviously today was not great for the long side of that. The other thing I want to just quickly throw in there, and I had this conversation with the trading floor manager, we were talking about this. I'm not short this halt because I was in the long position. Because I had to cover, like I stopped the breakout and got right out, making sure we're not holding through the halt. But that little action is the reason why I'm not fast enough to then get on that offer and be short for a potentially easy reopen trade, which gaps you down a couple of dollars. So sometimes there's an opportunity cost with holding on to a position. I think it was worth it if it went to the upside, but you don't want to hold through a gap. It's one thing to hold it gap up when you're in the money long. It's another thing to hold it gap down. That's a very dangerous way to go. Now, obviously, there's other ways that this can play out. I'm going to give you an example with Novavax here. Like NVAX, in complete hindsight, like let's say you bought this bull flag on NVAX at about 16.5 bucks. So you can see when I pull this chart back out, oh, look, $1 lower, you've got a previous resistance and a gap back support. So you could sit there risking $1 on that trade. In complete hindsight, it goes to $18. So that looks absolutely, hey, like if you just took it at if you took it at 16.5, you hold it $1 against you, it goes $1. That can be your play. What I would always caution people against is when you're looking at a trade from a shorter time frame, like this tight consolidation bull flag, or whatever you want to call it, I mean, bounce off VWAP, bull flag, it doesn't really matter what name you want to give it. Giving it some wider stop based on another principle, it doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. Like if you're willing to hold it through, you can still have a reasonably tight stop to the support level in here, 40, 50 cents, and then just hold a piece up until 18 if you think it's going to make that gap. But if you're going to go all in after it's already moved $2, that you're going to buy near a top, give it $1, and it's got to make that big travel through, that's a difficult way to play because now you're willing to hold through a down gap and it needs to break out the top and go another big parabolic move into the upside for it to win for you. That's a dangerous way to play because your cost for that trade, if it's wrong, is just ridiculously high for your wins. So you've got to be so absurdly accurate in terms of buying that top, giving it that much room to be able to break support from the morning, travel down another 5%, and you're going to hold through that. You got to be winning 70, 80% of those. Maybe even more than that if it's going to be a winning trade. So I think when we have these big time movers, it's okay when you're in the money, scalp some out, hold as it gaps higher. There's nothing wrong holding gaps in the money when you're taking some profit out before, but try not to hold a position through a gap against you. Win big and lose small is not always the easiest thing to do. It's all about risk to reward in these situations. I feel like GameStop at the open, it gave you that level. It halted right downside. I wish we could have reversed, but the least you can do in that spot, because if you're long, you're going to lose here, is just don't get stuck through that gap trade. And I've been there before. Like I've actually done that myself, where I try to hold on to a piece thinking, oh, that's not the bottom, and I hold through that gap and you lose unnecessarily. So oftentimes when you have these running stocks, these big potential stocks, the idea that it can go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%, 2x, 10x, all that good stuff is what draws you towards it. But that doesn't mean you actually have to risk your entire day, your entire week, your entire month by holding through a big, big gap. Easy enough to hold when it's going in the money for you, when you're going to give it from one big level to another level, but you don't have to do that against you. That's your lesson of the day. Lose small, win big, do not hold through monster gap levels. If you can identify it and you know it's a big and wide gap, don't let it close on you while you're holding the position. There's going to be a chance to re-enter that trade. And a nimble trader and a disciplined trader is going to be okay with taking their out, taking that lump, and looking for an opportunity to get back in. That's your lesson of the day. If it's so good, you don't need to hold through the gap against you. You're going to be able to find another opportunity to make that trade.
Eloquent, and awesome as always, Neil Roberts, guys, every day around noontime, dropping hotlines on his lesson of the day. Thank you very much, Neil. All right, while Neil was talking, the market did decide that it was enough here trying to pop guys chart through the high move, and right back down we go, breaking through that closing print from, I believe that was Friday's closing print there at just below 18.6. We do a bit of a wick shimmy above 18.6 now, all the way down to 18.512. Look for an 18.5 defend. Ironically, that's where pivot points are sitting, right at 18.5. So good move down for the bears today on the market, and that precipitated me to get stopped out for the remaining portion of my meta long at the 20 period. It's dancing now with VWAP. We'll have to see whether the strong name on the day can hold up at these levels. META right at that 475 area. Dara.
Yeah, I just had some spicy chicken, so we might be speaking a little bit more slowly over here for the time being. I was looking at Gap. I had this on my side chart from last week when we had earnings. Also, when I showed up Manuel Pombo was talking about earlier about Gap having that bounce off VWAP. I agree, but now what I'm seeing with Gap is I think maybe we're slowing down a little bit. Maybe the Gap is gapping down from its previous strength. That worked better in my head. The chicken is making me unable to pun. Wow, okay. But so if we break below VWAP, that could be interesting. That could be literally spicy, which is the kind of spice I want. So if that 30-30 rejects, I tried to get involved in Gap, was like, no, no, no. So if it gives me the opportunity again, I do want to get short. What I want is that VWAP break. I do want all the smoke, and I want all the spice. And as I say that, my mouth is on fire. A nice look there. Also, Apple, like, hey, Apple, if you want to keep giving me these opportunities, like, okay, I see you. Clearly, I got out of the short too early, but I was like, you know what, Dara, take that profit around 80s, go to the washroom, eat spicy chicken, whatever you need to do. That's what I did. And then Apple was like, okay, cool, Adara, I will just drop another casual 30 pennies. I'm like, cool, I understand. No, in all seriousness, though, I'm not going to cry over spilled shares. Really happy with the trade I made regardless. I'm looking at Tesla as well. Anything that gives me these opportunities where we look like we're recovering, that I might be able to short off at some point, that is what I want to do. Right now, I will drink some water and look at some more charts.
No problem. All right, long Amazon at this closing print. So I'm going to give this about 20 pennies worth of risk. This is where we held up last time here on AMZN. So I'm looking for a hold up at this level. This 176 general area 50. We're long 56s, so we're already 10 pennies out of the money. We'll see if we can bounce off this level. It was a previous area, but if it's going to break down below the 30 penny, I already have my stop on the high sides of 29, so it's going to have to hold up here. Otherwise, we'll get stopped out, and if it does end up curling back up, I will get back in. Meta as well. Also dancing at VWAP a little bit above, a little bit below. There's a bit of a tug of war happening here between buyers and sellers on META, so I could absolutely be persuaded to get back into this name long if it does hold up at these levels. And I'm very cognizant that we're at that 18.5 level, or generally close to it, right? So if we're going to hold up at 18.5, then, you know, we could get a bounce on some of these names, but that's all a supposition. You're supposing that we're going to bounce off 18.5. That doesn't always end up happening. We know that 100-point levels are good areas of support and resistance, but they're not absolute. All right, so let's go back into Amazon. We already got stopped out. So this one really broke down below the print from Friday. So down we go on AMZN, and down we go on Meta as well. So we'll take a loss on Amazon there, and Meta breaking down below that 475 area. So now maybe I should start looking short and stop looking for the bounces off key levels on some of these names here as we do get into 18.5 on the future. And in fact, we actually broke 18.5, 18.496 on these levels. So good move down for the bears here, Darryl.
Yeah, as a bear, I will say rawr. We're pretty happy. We're pretty pleased with Punch over here, looking for those shorts. Yeah, the spicy chicken's still hitting me in case people are like, why is Adara speaking more slowly? That is what's going on. Looks beautiful. Is very spicy, for my taste anyway. So Gap looking like it wants to give me that VWAP short. So I'm going to get ready for this around 26s if that lets me have that. Not a huge position. Perfect. Thank you so much to R6FX, member for 19 months. Good day, all. Great show as always. Hey, Bears versus Bulls in the trading team. Sunglass emoji. I'm guessing this is the good day that you are from Australia, so cheers to you in Australia. Hope the weather is nice out there. Hope everything is going well and that you are having a great trading day. Shout out to you. Ponzi Fonzie, thank you for putting this in the chat. Apparently, the NYSE glitch has been fixed, so thank you for letting us know about that. Also, yeah, I guess Scars are up. I guess roaring isn't really what bears do. They growl, so rawr. Growl, I don't know. Yeah, if we break above 40s, I'm getting out of GPS, but hopefully this GPS will help us find that route to the downside because I want this short. Also, I got short Meta, which I really like, and if we break above, yeah, as I say I forget about how bad the spread is on Meta, wow. Yeah, so if Meta gets into that 575 territory on the buy side, that's where things are gonna get kind of dicey for me. I'm realizing this could very well go against me, but you have to have confidence, you have to have confidence, well, you can't be all Sean, but you have to have confidence and confidence to go after what you want. Willis Addison, $2 super chat, addressed to one Neil Roberts saying, bars! So I guess he enjoyed that lesson of the day. Shout out, as always, to Neil and the lesson of the day. We love that over here on Trader TV Live. Yeah, Meta, if you want to keep staying low, I would love that. But thank you all here for joining us. And there's another way you can join us as well on Sharif's afternoon segment in which mustaches will not be discussed. Fair warning.
Guys, every day between 2 to 2:20, we're going to be doing the names. We're going to be talking about the names that you want us to talk about. So if you're big on these sort of meme stocks and low float names or heavily shorted names, go ahead and throw it there in the chat. So you're going to go in the chat, you're going to type in exclamation point, the word join, and then a space here between the word and the $sign, and put in the ticker that you want. And then we'll have Neil and Sean cover it for you every day between 2 to 2:20. And if they traded it, they'll tell you all about their trades. If they did not, they will give you the levels anyway. So make sure to join make sure to vote every day, I should say. You have until 1:50, so still a little bit of time, an hour and a half left for you guys. All right, GPCR is really going here, guys. It's gonna break 60 bucks. I set up several dip trades on this name. None of them got filled. And it wasn't because of the spread. It's just too strong and I'm too frugal. It just won't fill me at these levels. And I don't like any of the levels to which it's coming down to. They don't meet my technical standards and I don't see them. So I can't guess willy-nilly at these, where this one is going to bottom out. Everywhere I've looked, kind of, whether the whole dollar level off a moving average, it really hasn't given me the opportunity, but it's up 75% now. And again, like I just said, knocking the whole dollar level there. GPCR, strong name. And we did mention the float on this one. I believe it is a little bit larger GPCR. It's almost 10%. Yeah, 9.82%. So this one could get going if it really, if we really get a squeeze with some of these names here. Microsoft is just unabated to, I don't know, the gates of hell. Like, wow, big move down here for Softy, going almost 10 bucks here. Top today was 417 and a third in the pre, and now we're knocking the door of 408. We actually got into 408.95. Great. Adair had a great trade on this earlier through the peak there, all the way back down through the break of the low at 411 and a quarter. So great look there for the soft one. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see exactly what we get here. I think I'm going to go long Meta at this level. It is holding up at the volume weighted average price. We did get cut up on this one for a little bit of a piece as it did break below the 20. We're getting a bunch of top pink tail candles. I'm just going to pack my patience with this one. I don't have to get in super quick, but it's showing me its propensity to want to hold up at VWAP. You know, you don't get strict holds like you can see there. It wicked into the 50 and then right back up, I think, into that 475 and a half. So I'm gonna pack my patience here, see exactly what we get on MET. I don't feel I need to chase it. Jay Lee, it's important to note TQQQ is down more than $2 from 64 this morning. Yes, and by way of comparison, Jay, here's what I can show you. So the NQ, I have two columns here. That's a change percentage, and that's change percentage since open. Those are supposed to be different. I don't know why they're the same. That's weird. You can see here on the ES they're different. So did we actually open right at Friday's closing print? That's interesting. Okay, so that's probably why it did that. What I was going to show, Jay, was the percentage from 4 a.m. and the percentage from 9:30 to kind of show whether we were buying, whether we were selling off during the trading day. So, yeah, that's my look there. Let's have a look at some of the other small cap gappers, GME and AMC. Yeah, they're not doing a whole bunch here. Still locked in that trend, rejecting off the 20 and the 10. What MBOT is completely not tradable as a long for me, but using the breakout method. But it is finding some support here with the levels that it printed at around 8 a.m. So finding a bit of support at 1 1/3. And ALBT, we mentioned this one to you earlier. It was kind of a 30-penny name, broke through $1. Now really having trouble staying consistent to the high side, trying to hold above 80 pennies at these levels. What else we got going on? What else? GME, I mean, sorry, not GME, NVIDIA has been interesting today. I was watching this one on Blue Ocean last night. It was up like, I think almost $50 from the closing print on Friday. Hasn't done a whole lot today. Expected a bit more with the release of a new GPU and a new AI chip with this Rubin AI chip. But it seems to have today on the day a bit of a top at that 1140. Can't really hold above there on a closing basis there.
I do think it's kind of funny they named it Reuben because like there's a sandwich called a Reuben, right?
Yeah.
And we also know that Jensen took the chips out the oven, which is just funny word association. I think I don't know that there's no point to that comment. I don't know. Also Gap. That GPS found its way to the downside, so I was pleased as punch. Took out, I added to the position first at 30s, then I took out a third there at 19s. So if we're gonna take out another third here just below 10s, and then we're gonna have a piece for a dream, which is like, who doesn't like pieces or dreams? Not me always, actually, but I'm trying to diversify my trading style. And that's what's happening. Gap, if you keep being all topsy-turvy and curling to the downside, I'll stay pleased as punch. Also, I'm at the point where I'm considering calling my memoir Meta, What is Wrong with You? The story of my life, because this stock is so frustrating. I still think this could be a short off that 475, but I'm not comfortable taking it because I think, honestly, at this point, if I took it, I would not be able to say in good faith that this was not a revenge trade. I don't think it necessarily would be, but I just think you can't take a trade, you know, all willy-nilly like that. I can't just take it just because the other trade didn't work out on it. Now, mind you, do I still think Meta is going to reject 475s? Oh, yeah, sure. But I want to make sure I have way more confidence and confluence than I currently have. Right now, like I said, the confluence is not there. And as I say that, Meta drops a cool 25 pennies. I'm like, okay, Meta. GPS is like moving all the way up here. Like, wow, these instincts have not been the vibe. Like I said, if we stay below 40s, I am staying in GPS. My GPS is going to continue to tell me where to stay in this name. Unfortunately, that Meta and maybe this gap move are going to be giving up some of the gains from earlier today, but it's not about P&L. It's about progress and learning. And that, to me, is what I'm trying to focus on. I'm still up on the day, mind you. We did have some trades that worked earlier, so I'm trying to really focus on it as like an individual trade-by-trade basis and less being hard on myself because of one trade. Although, man, this Meta is going to... We might have some regret about Meta and not getting back in Meta. Whew. Like, you know what I mean? I did what I had to do. Like I said, I did still think it was a good trade, but it's like, why did I not get in? Because I got burned the first time? I don't know if that's a strategy. I think in my attempts to avoid a revenge trade, I actually stopped myself from an opportunity that would have made sense. So I'm gonna have to reflect on that and reflect on some of those regrets that I have about Meta. But right now, I'm gonna have to say, forget you to Meta. We're gonna have to forget about it. And I'm gonna stop rhyming now. And the gap did reject that 30, 40, so we're gonna have to go back to the mall and let this trade continue. How are you doing?
All right, let's start the lesson of the day, and it could not be a more appropriate lesson because we're talking about the names that squeeze, the short squeeze names. And today, we just happened to walk into the office, and lo and behold, GME was up big, AMC was up big, and all the other low-floated names are in focus, or heavily shorted names, I should say. So this lesson dives into early momentum chasing, but with a twist, targeting highly shorted stocks with a potential for a short squeeze. Buckle up, because this strategy is high risk, but also high reward. So the fundamentals of a short squeeze are as follows. Imagine a stock where a significant portion of the shares, which is termed the short interest, are held by investors who borrowed them, betting the price will go down. Those investors we call short sellers. If the price unexpectedly surges, the short sellers who borrowed the stocks to take it short will scramble to buy back the shares to return them to their rightful owner, further fueling the price increase. If you hadn't noticed here, the way that the shorts get out is they buy back the shares. So when you buy back the shares, the price goes up. In addition to them buying back the shares, you also have the regular longs that are punching long as well. So you get double the fun. Okay, that's kind of how the short squeeze works. So there it is illustrated graphically. You break through this area over here, and I guess this area up here has a whole bunch of people short. And so once it gets into this target area, the shorts start covering. They start covering, and the price keeps going up and up and up. Early momentum chasing in shorted stocks. So here, your early momentum chasers, they aim to identify highly shorted stocks experiencing an initial price increase. The hope is to jump in before the short squeeze intensifies, profiting as the price explodes due to the forced buying by the short sellers. So what I kind of told you guys first time around is when I got here in the morning, I heard all the traders back there talking about all the names that are heavily shorted. And the point is to know which names have a high short interest so that when things start moving and the short squeeze start happening in the names like GameStop and AMC, you can look at the other ones that you already have as a list predetermined. You know that Carvana is heavily shorted. You know Faraday Futures is heavily shorted. I think Mullen as well. The point being really to have a grasp and to have an eye on the heavily shorted names so when they do move, you're not scrambling to look for names, okay? And so that's what this is suggesting. Early chasers aim to identify highly shorted names. And if you have those ones, then you won't be scrambling there at the end. So the thrill of the short squeeze, the potential rewards can be phenomenal, okay? Capturing a short squeeze early can lead to massive returns as the price skyrockets, but that's a big if. So let's talk about some of the darker issues. The darker side of the short squeeze. There's a bunch of false alarms that happen. Not all price increases in shorted stocks lead to short squeezes. The momentum might fizzle out, for example, leaving early entrants holding the bag. That's what we mean by bag holding. And there's also a great degree of intense volatility. Short squeezes are inherently volatile by nature, so prices can swing wildly, making it challenging to predict the right entry and exit points. And there's a whole bunch of psychological warfare that happens here. The emotional fervor that's involved surrounding a potential short squeeze can absolutely cloud your judgment and have you feeling all sorts of FOMO. And that really is not good for sound technical trading. You want to be basing it on, kind of disinterested, unemotional observer. A lot easier said than done, believe me. So some strategies for the squeeze chaser, and we'll be talking about those all week long today, just kind of giving you a quick 411. So short interest monitoring, that's kind of what I alluded to earlier. Track the short interest of potential stocks. It pays to have a list of heavily shorted names so that you can refer to them once these bad boys start moving. So a high short interest combined with a price increase is definitely a potential recipe for a squeeze. But you should also, be attuned to the social media and the news, right? You want to stay updated on company news and social media chatter that might have the effect of triggering a short squeeze. Positive developments or increased retail investor interest are all good signs. And you should really use technical analysis with these guys with a degree of caution, right? While technical indicators can help identify breakouts, overly relying on them during a short squeeze can prove difficult due to the emotional nature of these trades. They don't really move with a kind of a technical twist. And stop loss orders really are important here. I mean, you can go so far as to call them mandatory, but they really are important. Set tight stop loss orders depending on your risk strategy, of course, to limit potential losses. If the momentum fizzles, short squeeze can reverse course quite quickly. If you don't have hard stops, you can use mental stops. If you don't use mental stops, then you should be using smaller share size so that if it does go against you, you don't blow up your account, guys. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you so much for going over that there, Sharif. Because, one thing I learned as well is like they do not give a hoot about whatever technicals you like, these like GameStops and AMCs. I remember I had that once where I was like, oh, like when I was trying to short GME back in the day, this is the day that I got stopped or shut down because I was like, oh, the technicals look nice on this. Yeah, GME did not care. GME was like, cool, Adara, great. I'm gonna go back up. So that's how these things go. But I do want to just shout out the super chat from Willis Addison, $2 super chat, loaded Ulta, $400, July 7th expiry, calls at 391, light bulb emoji, risky, post earnings report. Yeah, let's take a look at Ulta Beauty. Oh, this is on the NQ. And see how beautiful that looks. Shout out to you, Willis Addison. Thank you so much for your support for the show and for your lovely super chat. Okay, Ulta, not Ulta being rangy on the intraday chart. Oh, okay, I see you, Ulta. I also see the volume below 600,000, so I would not be trading this intraday. But given that this is an options play, we'll take a look at that daily chart and see how this is looking. Oh, oh, okay. It's not a pushback in the share moment, but I do like it. That 403 area, if we could bounce above that, that would be a great look. We did come to this 375 that we had here for earnings, and since then we kind of have had higher lows, so I don't mind this look at all. I think if we break above that 403s, that'd be a great look. Shout out to you, Willis Addison, and that trade. What a look there. I see you are getting some express deliveries in your Amazon trade.
I know, but I don't get any express deliveries because I suck. I live in Uptown, apparently.
Oh, Midtown.
Shout out to the Katina man. All right, we went long on the Zon for, again, not really simple reasons, but because it was telling us this is a good area of support. That's where we have the IB low. We were technically in red territory on the day when I took this trade. 176.44 is the closing print on Friday. Alas, we dip into 176 and then the buyers step up bigly, right? Moving that almost a buck higher there into 176.80. We're riding this wave. I did fat finger accidentally here in the 60s. I added to my position rather than wetting my beak. So you see an add here, and then I took it out again right there super quick. So we're nicely in the money here, about 30 pennies or so in Amazon, looking for a nicer move up. I would say, you know, this 177 would be a decent target, but if it does come into my entry, it doesn't seem like it's the day for the long, so I won't overstay my welcome on any longs today. I've already kind of paid the price with that. The other trade that I keep looking at here is the soft one. All right, so we saw Adara with that sick short on MSFT, and it's presenting you with another possible opportunity here. So the deeper retracements have gone into the 20. There's only one retracement that went into the 20 here on Microsoft. That was at 1030 and 1040, and they did wick, not close. They wicked above the 20. The closing prints all below the 20 period exponential on the 5. And then the majority of the retracements, as you can see, have been hugging that 10 period moving average. So we're there right now. 410.5 on MSFT off that 408.92 low. I don't know what I was about to say. I'd rather a 20 period retracement, but I don't think the market cares what I'd rather. I see it breaking through the 10 here, so I'm assuming, you know, if it continues to go, I'll be waiting at that 411, between 411 to 411 and a quarter for a 20 period short on Microsoft. That's my look there. You also have good price action resistance there as well. So the 20 periods at 411 and a fifth, but look at this double bottom that we put in at 11 and 1105, right at 411 and a quarter. So not only is the 20 pointing there, but you also have price action resistance at that level on MSFT. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the short there on the soft one for that level. But when printing here on the Zon, so we'll take a bit more out of the Zon there as it moves up into the 80s on AMZN, but it is now time to go to the soft one, Microsoft, and put set short MSFT at 4. I'm going to put 411. I'm going to get a little bit more aggressive with it because if it does come into 411, I want the short. I realize that the 20 period and the resistance, the price action, is at 411 and a fifth to 411 and a quarter. But Microsoft may not come into those levels. And like it looks like it may not even come right now. It looks like it might be rejecting off the 10. That's how weak the soft one is on the day. We had a wick above the 10, and then it's coming right back down. So if it comes back off the 10, then I won't get triggered. So let's go ahead and put 411. I'm going to put 05 because I'm born the 5th month, and I like that. So we're putting 411.05 for the short on MSFT to defend the 20 period and price action resistance. Let's flip back to Amazon over here. So we got printed at the 80s. It's dancing in the high 60s right now. Nothing to tell you about there. Just looking at some of my other tickers that I keep on the side chart. GPCR is still unreal, guys. Unbelievable move, Ram to the high side on GPCR today. It's broken the 10 period maybe 4 times on the 5-minute chart today since 9:40 onwards. I've tried to take multiple dip trades off this. None of them have been triggered. I'm assuming 54 looks like an awesome level over here. There, you do have price action support over here on it. You have over here as well. So GPCR, my only concern is I put the 54 dip and then it just the bottom drops off. It's not a small cap gapper, but it's not one that you can make the comparison to like a large cap kind of Meg 7 type name. No, the bottom could drop off at any time on this. It could be being traded intraday, right? So I have no idea exactly who's involved in this and who isn't. So yeah, waiting at 411.05 on Softy, long Amazon at this level at 40s.
Yeah, I'm in the Cybertruck. And it happened. I'm sounding like this is a sad trade. Like I already took 2/3 out with profit. It is what it is. I'm not like, wah over it. But it just didn't, sometimes when it doesn't give you the move you kind of want or expect. It's kind of what I had with this Tesla here. I wanted that big, beautiful whoop, whoosh, below that 176. And instead, Tesla is kind of bobbing at the water. It's like a buoy. It's like, 176. 176. I'm like, okay, well, Tesla, you could not do that, but that's fine. If we break above 35s, we're going to have to get out. So bye-bye, Cybertruck. That is a little bit unfortunate. Basically now, we did actually make some profit on that still from that we did take out 2/3 in the money. But yeah, that was just not the trade I wanted. I think sometimes it's like trades can be good or bad, and they can also just be hand wavy, right? It didn't go quite how you wanted it to. But I want to shout out Sharif was totally in the zone over there with those profit takers. Great look. What is everyone else looking at? Because I want to see what some people are taking looks at here. Also, I don't know if I talked about this trade, so I'm briefly going to go over my gap trade. Nice. Because I was pleased as punch about it. The plan with this was really scalpy. I had levels I like. I wanted to actually break below 30s, and the gap was like, you're not getting that at Era. So once I realized that, I said, okay, we got to switch the style up. Basically, we get to 30s, I'd add to the position, I take out 10 pennies in the money, we get back, I'd add, rinse, repeat, etc. If we broke below 40s, I was going to get out. We didn't do that. The reason I ended up getting out here instead of waiting for a further move is I just realized we were seeing slightly higher lows. We were going to get that VWAP bounce. I said, Adara, you'd rather take profit than not. I was trying to think of something else there, so we had to get out. That's why I got out. There we go. Let's take a look at BNAI here. Scott Ed was mentioning BNAI and Clean Sparks. So BNAI, that was that one Strafe was in last week, Ben, that brand engagement network. I remember that. Let's take a look at that BNAI. Ooh, I like this look. Look at this little chop and churn bounce we had at 510. Coming in, not in perfect confluence, but pretty close to that previous area of resistance that we had at $5. I think that's a really interesting look there. Also, BNAI here, 5.6 million shares in volume, so not at all a bad look here. Let's see what else is going on.
Can I just read one thing super
do.
quick? Because people were asking about what was going on with Berkshire's stock. So Berkshire Hathaway, BRKB, and BRKA both got halted today. They were down as much as 1.1%, appeared largely unaffected by the error. So there was an error today on the New York Stock Exchange, a technical issue with industry-wide price bands published by the CTA-SIP triggered halts in a number of stocks listed on the NYSE Group Exchange this morning. A New York Stock Exchange statement read, So what ended up happening was the morning showed incorrect stock prices or volatility halts on several stocks. We already knew that with the NYSE. That's why Sean and Neil were talking about the issues with the tickers there on anything NYSE related, but specific to Berkshire. It looks like it was specific to Berkshire and Chipotle stock. That's being reported here right now, guys, coming out of Yahoo Finance. So keep that in mind for whoever was asking me earlier about that. All right, so it looks like Softy doesn't want to come up into that 411 area and will reject off that 10-period moving average yet again. Funny enough, Amazon's not doing that. Amazon's on the way up here, so we'll sit at 88 for my Asians there, who 88's good number in the Asian culture, baby. Are we gonna get filled? Showing 87s, 88s, and we do get 88s. All right, so we do get that 88 number on the Zon, and here come the high 90s. We're gonna print there as well. I'm in the sim today, guys. This is all fake money as I'm locked out of my live account due to an expired ID issue. But yeah, we're gonna trade these the same way we would trade our live account. And by the way, I want to tell you that we have a new segment for those who don't know, who haven't joined us in the past couple of weeks. We now talk about the tickers you want to talk about from 2 to 2:20 on the afternoon rundown. So make sure you get into the chat every day you're with us and you enter that prompt in. You hit !join, space, the $, and the ticker of your choice. You want to talk about GME, or do you even want to talk about MBOT, so I can tell you, or the guys can tell you how badly I traded that one today, MBOT. Whatever your inclination is, go have your say in the chat, or we will not talk about it, or maybe we will, but it'll be because of other people, not you. So yeah, looking for that Amazon long to continue here. Disappointed in myself and not at least taking a little bit of a position at that 410.50 on Softy as it comes right back down again. No 20-period retracement on the soft one today. It looks like it's going to be mostly 10s here or there. The weakness in Microsoft is palpable, and I'm apoplectic about it.
I love that word. Oh my gosh, that reminds me of that scene. You haven't seen The Office, right?
No.
Reminds me of that scene in The Office where they have, like, this girl, she's trying to play Scrabble, and everyone else trying to cheer her on because, like, if she wins Scrabble, she gets to pick the movie she watches or whatever. And so the word is, like, apoplexy. They're like, apoplexy is what I'll have. And she's like, oh, and she spells ape.
What?
Yeah, she's like...
What is she, an AMC investor there? What's going on?
Right, but every time I hear apoplexy or apoplectic, I think of that scene in The Office where this poor girl loses her Scrabble game because she does not know what apoplexy is and spells ape. So shout out to The Office. Also Meta. Oh, it's just apoplectic. It's when you're upset if you're not.
I love how you ask her. I'm the one that said it.
That is true.
And whatever, bro.
But yeah, this 475 Meta short, and you have better tabs on because this keeps rejecting. I'm not going to be taking any trades right this second because I'm getting tired, and when I am tired, I do not trade very well. I just kind of punch and then get out immediately. It's not a good time. Case in point, Apple. Adara, you had no reason to leave this trade. Why did you? Look at this. This was a perfectly fine short. So tisk Adara. But right now, oh.
Dead.
Did you slap a fly or did you have a good trade or both?
I had a good trade.
Yay.
No.
Oh, you slapped a fly? I'm sorry. See, we're going to chug some coffee.
Murderer.
But I want to take a look at SAIC for convicted here. Hopefully you have some conviction in your trades. I'm saying that will SAIC be able to make this back at earnings? Whew. They report tonight. I mean, I got to tell you, this is... Or did they report this morning here? This SAIC is certainly not the best trade of the world here. Like, look at this. We took out any lows. I think this SAIC, they'd have to do quite a lot to get back to this level here. I'd be watching to see what we do at 122s because 122 was that kind of that previous low here. But I mean, to say this one fell off would be to put it kind of lightly. Did they report yet, or they
international share trading lower after the company reported Q1 financials? Yep, you're right.
So yeah, science application is applying itself to the downside over here. It's not a great look. Also, Kyle Burdett mentioning Disney. Thank you for bringing up this one. I have not taken much of a look at the House of Mouse today. So let's see how Mickey and Minnie are doing on this. Oh, It's a beautiful range. Thank you, Kyle Burnett, for pointing this one out. We have a clear bottom here of 120.50, which to play off of, I am going to be putting this on yield side chart. Like I said, right now, I will not be taking any trades because I am tired and I can tell I'm just punching to punch, which is not how you want to be in your trades. So we'll be chugging some of this beautiful espresso and looking at some charts.
Is it a me espresso? All right, it's all good.
Oh, right, that song by Sabrina Carpenter.
Okay,
yeah, it's not.
There, I love how you paused there for a second. It was a little bit of a glitch. But yeah, Amazon, guys, coming down. Rejection here on the 50. I can't really tell what moving average it is. It looks like it's at 177 level. So if this comes into 49s, that's it. We're 4 pennies away from getting stopped out. We were able to wet our beak all the way up into that mid 176.90-ish. We weren't able to get any 177 prints. It didn't actually make its way all the way up into 177. But yeah, the weakness on some of these Mag 7 names subsequent to the bell is quite obvious. I mean, we had a wicked recovery Friday. I couldn't even believe my eyes when I looked at the charts last night to see how we traded Friday afternoon. We basically erased the entire midday show when we were basically down to the right, down to the right, down to the right, recovered the entire way. And we're having a similar day to that today. I mean, 18,755 is the top, and now 18,467. So we're almost 300 points of range. I believe on Friday it was 500, so we're close. We'll see if we can continue to move down here, and then if we do, whether we get bought right back up on the more liquid time of day. Scarjo Rabbit. So funny. He's like, Sharif doesn't slap flies, he uses chopsticks. So I'd be like, where's that from? Isn't that from Karate Kid? And he's like, any kung fu movie will show it. Okay, I remember Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, Mr. Miyagi.
Was he trying to catch a fly with chopsticks?
Honestly, Cobra Kai ruined my brain, so all I know is like the Cobra Kai
I'm
level
pretty
that
sure he
universe.
did that in the original, like
sure
the 80s one.
Yeah, or he had Daniel try to do it. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. He did. It's beginner's luck. Fabian, have you ever done that? Did you ever catch a fly with chopsticks? Oh, okay. That's okay. He did it with a Ram. 1320 Wolf, Amazon is on the 50-minute range program. Let's have a look at what 1320 Wolf is. He actually asked me earlier to have a look at some of these Mag 7 names through the lens of the 15-minute chart. So let's have a look at Amazon since we're involved in it right now, what the look is there on the 15. So what are you seeing? Okay, so what I see here, and I happen to very much agree with you, 1320 Wolf, the 50 period on the 15 acting as a level of support and now resistance for the closing prints. So what you'll see is that red solid line doesn't look like it's holding up or below that level, but when you look at these wicks, all the closing prints print north of that 15 that 50 EMA on the 50-minute chart, and then over here, we're breaking it above it on a wicking basis, and then each and every closing print lower than the 50 period EMA on the 15. So I happen to agree with what he said, or they said, I don't know if it's female or male, 1320 Wolf, shout out to you. I do agree, and I happen to really like that level. So thanks for pointing that out, because that will definitely influence how I see this trade going forward. I also see the lower highs there. Shout out to 1320 Wolf, baby. Puffs out chest. I like that. Ostentatious Productions. Ooh. Have you seen Super Troopers? You have that look. I haven't seen Super Troopers. Have you?
I know, it's the kind of mustachioed, muscular look, is I believe the aesthetic of that. Okay. So I think it is, I would say it's a compliment, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You weren't sure about, okay, I see there. What is this, an 80s movie? What is
2001.
this? 2020, oh my God, why did it look so like American South in the 80s? Yeah, 2020, 2001, okay. Cool, I'll have to watch this, but I've never seen it. Interesting look there. Top VOIP, BTU looks ready for the next leg up. Let's have a look at that. JF Trader says that's correct. Let's have a look at the BTU for top VOIP, BTU. Oh, great look there on the day for Peabody Energy.
It's a really random ticker for Peabody.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, Great look today. Great look over the last few days here. Here's the daily on BTU. Nice support at that $21-ish, $22-ish area. Now breaking through this this peak that we put in last time, just south of 25 bucks, 25.75 today. HOD. The trade here, well, it looks as if it's really consolidating now and the volume is really dropping off, starting to hug that VWAP. There does seem to be some support off that 25 1/3, but really, you know, I got to tell you the truth. This one, the range is really tightening up and the volume is dropping off. If you're going to trade this, I would say wait for a bit more of a liquid time because right now it seems to be a little bit dead. Let's have a look at whatever everyone else is talking about. Eclectic Passions. I was on a date at Sushi Shop years ago and did the catch a fly with the with a baguette once. Total beginner luck. That's pretty cool, man. Interesting story. I've never tried that on a date. I don't think I'd try that on a date. I think it might influence how the other person sees me a little bit. So yeah, you know, I don't really like to hold off on what just because of what other people think of me. But say that again, Adair. I mean, Ramra.
She was. Oh.
Okay. Well, she doesn't want to repeat it. Go ahead.
She's still laughing.
Oh, wow. Well, she wants to know if you ate the baguette after catching the fly with it. It's not my question. It's her question. What are you looking at, Tara?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at AMD short. AMD was like, cool story, bro. I will not give you that opportunity. Goes down a cool 30+ pennies. So shout out to AMD, as Sharif sometimes calls it. That one moving to the downside. MSFT still looking like a nice little short here. You know what? I'm going to have this set up for 10.05s because why not? I think there is something here. I do like it. I have had decent, I don't want to say luck because I'm part of the trades I took with this name, but I've had decent success with this name today. So I'm going to stick with that. If we break above here into 410.30, so we're going to risk over 25 pennies. That's when I'm going to have to cut the cord. But yeah, just really trying to scalp today. I'm not saving for like these giant moves. I'm really just trying to take smaller trades. Case in point, this Tesla trade, which I have to say really proud of, took 15 pennies, ended up getting out near the top of that movement. Then we dropped off quite a little bit here. So really just trying to take scalps, short-term scalps based on things that I like and see. Kyle Burdett, $5 super chat. Sharif, check message is important. I will let him know. He's just getting some water right now. So when he returns, I will let him know. But thank you so much to Big Kyle Burdett for the super chat. Yeah, I don't, like I said, I am a little bit more tired. And I find that when I need that more espresso in my life, that is when I feel like the trading gets a little bit more suspect. So trying not to take too many trades as of right now. This AMD though, AMD and Microsoft both doing a thing where they kind of have some setups that suggest bullishness, but overall they do kind of look more like they're going to be shorts. So case in point with Microsoft, we had this pause here around 410. We did have some wicks to the downside, but generally we're curling down. AMD, I would say an even more bamboozling example. Look at this 160, just shy of 162s. We have all these wicks down here. And then we continue to go to the downside, right? So I think that's a nice little look here on AMD. But you know what's also a great look is having both freedom and wealth. And do you know where you can get that and get some advice about that? That's right, our podcast. It's called Freedom and Wealth. And it will be Brendan and it will be Sean every Saturday morning dropping hot lines. Right now we have 743 subscribers. So if you want to be one of the subscribers to this podcast, as you can see, I am subscribed over here. Definitely check it out. Also, Kyle Burnett has a super chat for you saying that check message is important.
Oh yeah, I already got it. And it's already being loaded up right now. Okay. I mean, you can't send a picture like that and expect it not to be posted. So Big Kyle, playing on the theme that we were just talking about right now, the whole, what was that movie called again?
Super Troopers?
Super Troopers. Okay, so get ready for this. This is interesting here. I'm just trying to figure out how to load my messages. There we go. So Big Kyle always sending me the charts, always sending me interesting stuff here, and this is no less interesting. Big Kyle and Sharif sporting our stashes. I don't know if I look like this mustachioed gentleman over here, but he seems like a good dude. This is Big Kyle. I guess when he was a little bit younger, shout out to him. I like the hair, dude. You got to grow back out the hair, but I do absolutely love the stash on you, Big Kyle. Grow that bad boy back, baby. All in favor of the big Kyle stash, throw up ones in the chat. Shout out to him, guys. All right, let's look at what else is moving here, guys, because it's a trading show. Meta, great call by Adair earlier. I wasn't sure how this one was going to go, and now this one just broke down, making a new local low there through that 473. It is finding a bit of a bounce, though, through 473, but yeah, lower highs, lower lows on Meta, essentially since that 1120 print. That was the best it could do, and then you had a bunch of topping tail candles there come through that 479.5. Couldn't get to 480, but that doesn't mean Meta won't accumulate into that 480 level over the next few days. It had a tougher week last week, META. So did Microsoft. So keep, we don't have to say they're going to continue to go down, but just keep an eye on them this week. I did get stopped out of my Amazon trade for the remaining amount as it came right into my level, and no further than that. So we got stopped out of that. On AMZN, keeping an eye on both those bad boys. Now, not like this is my go-to move here, but NVIDIA seems like a range trade and a half.
Oh my God.
So here we go, 1125, 1128 to the downside, and a little bit like more than 1135, maybe 1136-ish to the high side. It's been in that range for almost an hour, started at around 12:10, and it doesn't reach the top or the bottom every single time, but there is something to the idea that NVIDIA is in a bit of a range trade today. Very sideways, no breakout, no breakdown, moved heavily yesterday overnight on Blue Ocean, and you'll see that here depicted by the big gap up. So that is where we closed out on Friday, 11:02, and then the 4 a.m. print was 11:30, and it was trading above that yesterday. So it must have come down from last night on Blue Ocean. I was watching this monster at around 10 o'clock or so yesterday. Yeah, not much else for me to discuss here. What else is being talked about in the chat? Shout out to Big Cal. Yeah, everybody wants to see that Big Cal stash. They're all throwing up ones in the chat. Shout out to him. What else we got? Dam wants us to look at GME. Let's have a look at GameStop. Is it moving again? What is it up to? Okay, so GameStop, what's going on there, Katina Man? He's in GameStop. The Katina Man is still in game. He's long 28s on GME, and it just, as you can see there, made a move through 30s, dancing with 30 right now, a little bit above, a little bit below. Now reclaiming the 20 period here on the 5, still south of the 250. VWAP on GameStop around 33.60 or so. Big move up overnight because of the Roaring Kitty news, in case you haven't heard, disclosing a monster position in it. Now it's really left to be determined, is it his money or is it other people's money? OPM. As my very good friend Neil liked to say it this morning.
It reminds me of that Dom Kennedy song, OPM, other people's money and we like. Yeah, I've very.
Never heard that.
Oh, it's this rapper
cool.
Dom Kennedy. He's like pretty solid. It's from like 2008, I think. But anyway, shout out to that, but also on other people's money. But yeah, I have no idea what's going on with that Roaring Kitty. All we know is he is indeed roaring. And the thing is too is like, he did pretty well with the whole initial GME pump, right? So who knows if it's left over from that, if it's residual from that.
Can you imagine he printed that much off that? Wow,
it's ridiculous. Nice. And it's just because, as he says, he liked the stock. That's what's crazy, is it literally just started from, and it goes back to what Sean always says about conviction. He had conviction and he took the trade and people ended up catching on to it. Like, it's just such a crazy story, I think, for that reason. But yeah, so I don't know, it's a crazy look there. But shout out to Sean right now. And his confidence in that GameStop trade.
Oh, yeah.
He's clapping his hands. He's doing things. Shout out to him. Right now, though, I can't really give Microsoft a shout out. I got to be real with you, because it's curling back up into 410s. I want to see. I mean, I'm fine. I'm chilling in this trade, but if we break, I am a little bit out of the money. We're like 20 pennies out of the money here. If we stay below 410s, I'll add to this, because I intentionally kept a small position with the goal of adding. I want us below the 9 EMA. If we're above that 9 EMA, it's going to be not fine EMA. And we're going to have to, get out of this trade. I couldn't think of another rhyme. That'll be the goal here. Just staying below. I think we did have this weird bounce off 409.50s. Could have scalped out of this a little bit earlier, but that wasn't the plan. I really did want a little bit lower, so I'm not going to cry over spilt shares or whatever on this trade. I'm trying to trade less P&L and more just based on progress and learning. Also, I am very shocked that my only profitable, okay, to be fair, sorry, we did okay in this first part of this position on Tesla. I don't know if my only profitable trade on Tesla was this brief long. That was a weird time. I don't know. But shout out to TSLA. Kyle Burdett saying as well that Tesla is making this move to the downside. Also, thank you, Sebastian, for mentioning my singing. I don't know if I'm just singing for fun. You know what I mean? I appreciate that. But I just like to sing for some good times. John Szymanski saying, pardon?
At least one of us can sing.
I don't know about that, but thank you. John Szymanski saying instead of frowny faces, we should say stash instead. It's pretty like stash faces. I don't know.
That's funny.
But I just kind of got a kick out of that. Also, if you want to see a certain mustachioed man to my right talk about some stocks on green screen coming up in just 52 minutes, there's a way for you to do that. And it is by going in the chat right now. Think of a ticker. You know, think very hard. Think of your favorite ticker that you want to see and go in that chat right now and go !, join, space, $, whatever ticker you want. Is that ticker GME? Put GME. Is that ticker Microsoft? MSFT. Tesla, TSLA. We know tickers. We know what they are. Pick your ticker. Go right in that chat right now up until 150 and you can see, yes, you can see your lucky ticker if you get enough votes.
There it is, Rimmer.
There we go.
Sorry, guys. I don't know why it deleted. I usually have this thing up, and make sure, guys, that you have a space between these two. Okay, so you have to hit the join and then the space and then the $, and then you put in the ticker and put in whatever name you want. The more votes a name gets, the higher up on the list, obviously, it goes. We cover the top 5 per day. So go in, influence other people in the chat to vote your way, baby, if you want to have your name covered. And that, you know, you're going to have to persuade people. So get your powers of persuasion ready. Join, space, $, and then the ticker every day up until 150. You have 40 more minutes to vote. And then between 2 and 220, the big kahunas, Neil and Sean, they're going to give you their look on the trade. If they traded it, they'll tell you exactly what they did, what they were looking for, how they did it, and et cetera, all the deets that your heart desires, baby. All right, Amazon coming all the way back down again. This has been, it's interesting here because I took it long and we're profitable long, but to me, it looks like a stellar short. And most of the names on the Mag 7 look that way too, to be honest with you. And here's why. Lower high, and yeah, you guessed it, lower high. Now, this lower high here, I wouldn't have taken short here. There were no reasons for me on the 5 to be looking at this level, but as an individual in the chat there, I think it was 1320 Wolf, showed me to look at. He's like, look at the 15-minute on Amazon, and then it makes so much more sense. It's been a 50-period deal here, both as support and then as resistance on AMZN. All the closing prints, either north or south of that 15 or that 50 period on the 15-minute chart. Essentially right now it's trading, the 50 period is at 176.80, essentially 176 3/4 or thereabouts. But Amazon coming all the way back down into the low end of the range again to test 176. Each and every dip below 176 today has bounced. You can see that. I mean, 715, you dip below 176, you bounced. The institutional prints, we don't put too much weight into those, but they also bounced off that level. The IB low right there, and we talked about that. The first hour of trading, the high and the low, you should chart the implied balance high and low. Go back to last week's lesson for that. Was also right at 176. In fact, the low there was 175.97, and we're right there right now. So, is this an interesting area to go long to play the range on a day? It's down 0.25%. It's not down by that much. There's no negative catalyst for it. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take this trade. I'm going to give it a bit of room for a possible 50-period retracement. That's my best case scenario. If I take this long, I could get a buck off it. You know, if that. So we'll see there, Adair.
Yes, we will indeed see there. Also, Microsoft, thank you. I'm just gonna smile because I'm happy with Microsoft. So basically, I was getting a little bit nervous in this position because we kept saying below 410s, but I said, Adara, add a little bit. You do like this trade. What are you scared of? Like losing a little bit of sense? You can also make a few cents, Adara. So make the decision that needs to be made. I'm doing accidentally doing the Nicole Kidman clap here. But make the decision you need to make. So I did add to the position. I said if we stay below 410, we're gonna be chilling like a villain. Indeed, we were. We got our half at 55. We got the rest out at 45s. Pleased as darn punch. I know pleased as dang punch is what Sharif said, so I should have said that. But happy with this trade. Initially, Apple was my top P&L name, and then Microsoft said, hold my laptop. And so thank you, Microsoft. This one is the top P&L name right now. Also, thank you for telling me that this was actually the pivot point on this 90 EMA as well, because that was crazy. I had no idea. I was taking it off the 90 EMA rejection. But yeah, happy with how Microsoft has gone so far today. That's been the main name I'm trading. Tesla is just... I hope no one's E-long this name right now, because yeah, this is a pretty difficult. This is not a must-see chart for the long. I gotta say right now. But also tune in with Tesla next week, June 13th. Those Tesla bulls are gearing up for that shareholder meeting next week, June 13th. As I mentioned this a lot, I frequently visit Tesla bull Twitter because I am very entertained, and I honestly think it's quite fascinating how much the Tesla bulls are so down for Elon and everything he has to do. And they're like, you know, like hungry, excited little rabbits. Pardon? Oh, they're fanboys. Yeah, that's true. A lot of them are women, actually, so I'm going to say fangirls. Fan people. Fanpoles. I don't know. Fans. So all of these Tesla fans, best of cyber luck to them as we head into that meeting on June 13th, because they want Elon Musk's pay package to be ratified.
Yes.
Also, we do have our lesson of the day coming up, so I'm going to gear up for that. But how is your Amazon going?
We just got long 176.01. This is going to have to hold above the $0.25 area, so risking 25 pennies to make a buck. I'm looking for a retracement of sorts, possibly into that 177. We'll see if we can get a couple of beak wetters along the way on AMZN. It was, again, this 176 area has been a level of support all day. That's what the trade is predicated upon. I'm going to give it a bit of room. It is a $180 name. So, you know, if I put a stop right below 176, I'm just asking for trouble, right? So you're going to have to give this room. So I also want to mention, that. So the long on Amazon off 176. And I also want to mention, because Adair was bringing up the shareholder meeting for Tesla, do not forget this time next week is WWDC. And if you are long Apple, like I have been since August, I'm almost going on a year on this monster. I don't think I've ever held anything that long on a trade basis, obviously. If you're long Apple, then you need to be all ears and eyes and whatever other sensory organs you have, they better be ready, because that's the AI story here, right? Now, there's obviously the September launch event where we could get more nuanced details about what AI features are going to be included in the iPhone 16, but this is important. There hasn't been an iPhone upgrade supercycle since 2015 when they launched the larger screens. If there's going to be a super cycle, one assumes that it may be, or it should be, because of an AI-driven catalyst. At least that's my assumption. So I'm going to be listening. I'm going to be listening very intently. In fact, I'm part of their developer program, even though I don't code. The point of being there is to get the betas for their iOS releases. And so I get the emails that come with the developer thing. And they were basically going on their laundry list of different items that they're going to be discussing during the event. So I was excited to see what they had listed. I'm excited right now as a shareholder, and I'm excited in this sim trade that I'm in on AMZN right now, as we're 30 some odd pennies in the money, and that 176 level held to a dang T. Again, it is a level of support today on Amazon, like it or not.
Yeah, I was saying, I am a little bit disappointed that I ended up being off. I'm going to be off on June 10th, so I will miss the developers conference, but I know that Sharif and new graduate Obi are going to kill it, give you all that applesauce. Oh my gosh, that was not an intentional pun. They're going to give you everything you need to know. I will be paying attention to that conference from afar, and I'm excited to come back. But yeah, I will be gone on Friday and Monday, so we're going to see Obi back on this year's desk with
You're gonna have a great old time.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I know I'm the type of person where I always, I like the markets. I'm gonna miss these markets, but I'm
not gonna say where you're going because we don't want all the fanboys showing up there. But I got an interesting video I gotta send you for that location. You're gonna really like.
You mentioned something about that location, so I need to check that out. So thank you for telling me. But yeah, I'm going to a bit of a rural spot to hang out. So appreciate that. Exciting times. Also, Thank you so much to Michelle Hebert for the chat member for 23 months. Hey guys, just wanted to say DFF has not sold. He has 100, I don't know who DFV is, and I'm assuming this is GameStop.
Neil's talking to you.
Roaring Kitty's ready now. Oh, that's what, okay, now I know what that stands for. Thank you, Neil, for
thanks,
that.
Neil.
He has 120,000 June 21st, $20 calls, and the volume on those is just over 6,000 today. Guy is hodling. Yeah, right now, I mean, GME, this is a nice this actually could not be a bad look, because look at these higher lows we've had and this flat top. I don't want to make an assumption about a flat top break on GameStop, especially because, as you'll see in the lesson we're about to do, technicals are not always valid on these short squeeze plays, but man, is this a nice look for GameStop. I don't know if these games are going to stop in game. But yeah, thank you, Bears vs. Bulls. I appreciate that. I am excited for said trip, but also I'm excited to say pamp it. And I'm excited to we always say pamp it, excited to get to this lesson of the day, the short squeeze, which is pretty apt and actually not something we planned. Like, this was a planned lesson from last week, and then it turns out the short squeeze came today, and Sharif and I were like, huh, look at that.
I know.
Who'd have thunk it?
I really
this
was.
was not intentional. Like, we had, Sharif sent me this lesson last night, so shout out to Sharif, appreciate that. And let's talk about the short squeeze, because I said the short squeeze, but the short squeeze. We're gonna be talking about this all week. This is gonna be about early momentum chasing, but it's gonna be a bit of a twist because it's specifically highlighting and targeting these heavily shorted stocks with the potential for a short squeeze. And you're gonna wanna buckle up. The strategy is high risk, but oh, can it be high reward? Don't know why I said it like that. Let's talk about the fundamentals first. So picture a stock where a significant portion of shares or the short interest are held by investors who borrowed them, betting the price will go down. Short sellers, maybe the stock is AMC, maybe the stock is GME, maybe it's Carvana. But if the price unexpectedly surges, then short sellers are going to scramble to buy back these shares to return them, further increasing the price. That is a short squeeze. Here's one example I found online that I think is kind of cool. It just shows you've got the price going up, then you've got your normal trading zone, and then that short squeeze breakout beyond that previous price action, right? Then you've got what it calls a short squeeze zone. That's when you're going to see a parabolic escalation. You have margin call covering. You have buyers getting involved. It's pandemonium. It's madness. And then eventually it sees a top. Let's talk about some of that early momentum chasing in that short squeeze zone as identified by that previous image that I found online. So early momentum chasers are going to be looking to identify highly shorted stocks experiencing an initial price increase. I want to shout out Sharif for mentioning this earlier. It could be helpful if you have like a list of stocks that are heavily shorted. So you're like ready to go like, hey, could this stock run?
The traders on the floor gave me that idea because they were all like literally listing when I got in this morning.
Oh, I saw that SunPower too.
Yeah, they were like, oh, this one's heavily shorted, this one have. Yeah, exactly.
But also, if you want to go above and beyond, you could always go in our join, because I saw that. We could do that now if you want, the join, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I saw that.
Absolutely.
So if you want to talk about a specific stock or have Sharif cover it, there's something we can do.
Yes, Ram, throw that in there, baby, because in 40 minutes, we're starting that new segment from 2 to 2:20, where you guys have your say every day. You just got to go in the chat and then enter the following trigger or whatever prompt, ! join space $, and the ticker. If you want to talk about these memes that are moving today, GME and AMC, go ahead and throw that up. If you want to talk about NVIDIA and their new processor, or AMD and their 3 new processors, they're going all the way out to 2027 with the MI450. Geez Louise. So planning up a storm for the future there at Dara. So go ahead and have your say right now.
Yeah, that's it. You can plan for the futures if you have your say right now. In 30 minutes, that voting will close. Let's talk about we're talking about early momentum. So you want to identify these highly shorted stocks so you can be prepared for when they run. And the hope is going to be that you're being able to jump in before the squeeze intensifies so that you'll be able to profit as the price explodes due to forced buying by short sellers. So you want to be there right before that momentum kicks in. What about the dark side of the squeeze? Because it's not all sunshine and rainbows and GameStops, because sometimes the game does have to stop. So the dark side of the squeeze can include false alarms, because not all prices increases in shorted stocks do lead to these big squeezes, or lead to short squeezes. The momentum might fizzle out, which can leave early entrants holding the bag. What about intense volatility? Because short squeezes are inherently volatile, right? So prices can swing rapidly, wildly, with a viciousness, and this can make it challenging to predict the perfect entry and exit points. Psychological warfare is, I think, maybe it sounds a little bit intense, but that can definitely be the case in these short, heavily squeezy kind of names, because that emotional fervor and intensity surrounding a potential short squeeze can cloud your judgment. So investors might buy at an inflated price, fearing they will miss out. So let's talk about some strategies for people who are looking to chase these short squeezes. Monitor short interest. So you might want to track the short interest of potential stocks. A high short interest combined with a price increase is a potential recipe for a squeeze. News and social media savvy is important as well. You want to stay up to date on company news and social media chatter that could signal potential short squeeze in companies like GME, Beyond Meat, Carvana, Affirm, anything like that. Also, these names around earnings as well can have a bit of a short squeeze type of moment.
Bless
People
you.
get excited, bless you, and people want to short. So keep an eye for anything involving these names.
Amp it.
GME reporting next week as well.
Jeez.
So that could get a little bit spicy, and those games might start right back up again if they ever indeed stop, which they often don't.
True.
But let's talk about technical analysis with caution, right? So technical indicators can indeed help to identify breakouts, but you do not want to overly rely on them during a short squeeze because these events can defy technical analysis due to their emotional nature. I don't know why I said that in that voice, but hey, it's a short squeeze. It's a little bit dramatic. Let's talk as well about stop loss orders because they should be mentally mandatory or at least heavily considered. You want to set tight stop loss orders to limit potential losses if the momentum does fizzle. Like short squeezes can veer off course rather quickly. So to conclude, early momentum chasing in shorted stocks can be exhilarating. It can be breathtaking. It can be the equivalent of an Oscar win. However, it's a high-risk strategy, so you always want to make sure that you are going long research and going long risk management and going long alternative investment strategies before you go long a heavily shorted name. Also, can we talk about those gorgeous beak waters on Amazon?
Yeah, I mean,
that's a gorgeous luxury.
They're at this 176 level held, but I'm equally as confident that we're going to get a rejection pretty soon because that has been the case all day on the Zon. The high there, 178.80. That's the IB high. Then we put a classic rounded top with topping tail candles. That's everything you want to see. The topping tail candles, the incrementally lower highs and lower lows, the rounded top. I mean, this is just a beautiful setup that I didn't have eyes on. That's just my mistake there. But anyway, I did have eyes on this 176 level, so I took that rather than taking the short. And to be honest with you, I really want to get better at that because today was the day for the short and I kept forcing the long. I'm not down by that much in the sim, but the fact that I keep forcing the long on a day when I should go short is a problem I need to kind of get better with. That's just my thing. I'm not really looking at anybody else who, you know, I'm not trying to hint at anybody or anybody in the chat or anything. I'm just talking about myself. I need to be better with, you know, be like, hey, you know, today's short day. Just look for different setups. I'm always inclined to look for support rather than to look for resistance. That's my thing. Anyway, so I'm anticipating a rejection off the 50 here because we did get a rejection off the 50 initially. But as 1320 Wolf astutely pointed out earlier, this has been a 15-minute chart trade with the 50 acting as resistance and support. And so if I look where the 50 is hanging out on the 15, it is hanging out at 80. So I will de-risk almost everything. I have 2 more outs on this, and I'm in the sim, okay, by the way. I'm going to sit at 77s because that's a lucky number. And I'm going to put there, wait for 77s, and then I'm going to have 1 more out if I get triggered here at 77s. And it looks like it might cross. We'll see if we get the cross. 77 on the ask. It's got to cross a little bit. 78 showing up. Now, if I do get triggered at 78, I'm going to leave a piece for the dream or get stopped out. Take your pick. But this has been a 50 period on the 15 trade. I will not be convinced otherwise. You know, other than obviously taking the rounded top short because that was a great look as well. And it's a better look on the 5 than it is on the 15. You can kind of see all the topping tail candles, the shorts really overwhelming the longs incrementally, and then you get this candle here to make the new low, and then you saw what happened there. So great look. All right, we got printed. Fantastic at 77s all the way up into 84s. So now I have 1 more out on AMZN. I ain't getting rid of it. We're going to hold this one maybe into 177 1/4. That's where the WAP is at.
VWAP at 177 and a fifth and a quarter, in and around that area. So good look. Now let me tell you, the Mag 7s here, it looks like the winds of change may be coming on some of them. All right, and the reason is you have a 50-period retracement on the 5 on the Zon. You have a 20-period retracement for the first time today since essentially 10:30 on the soft one. Look at that, 410.5 incoming. It's touching the 50, as you can see right there. You also had Apple break above the 50, the 20, and the 10, but still south of VWAP at that 193, 194-ish area. So some curls, some Mag 7 names curling up here. You also have Goggles coming into the 50. You have the Fuge coming into the 20. So, and reclaiming that 18.5 area. So some stuff starting to curl here, guys. Be aware that, you know, we did it on Friday. I'm not saying we're going to do it today, but that recovery on Friday really had me, you know, double taking. I really see that on the chart. And I was charting it last night because you guys know I'm not here in the afternoon. So I was really surprised by that. Anyway, Apple almost at the volume weighted average price. Amazon is going to break 177s here, so we're almost $1 in the money on this last leg. I have one more out on the Zon. It's almost at 177. Coffee Trader, that's a great name, by the way. You look like Super Mario. You should wear the hat. Absolutely, absolutely. You know what? You get me 2,000 likes today, I'll wear the hat. Put it that way. You get 2,000 likes for the stream, I will wear whatever, well, whatever. I will wear the Mario hat. Did you see the video or the segment that Luca and I did in Big Bird and Cookie Monster?
Oh, I did see you showed me some of
did?
those.
Did
yeah,
I? Okay,
think you showed me like a picture of it.
Yeah, that's because we got 8,500 likes. It's a record for the show.
Were you Big Bird or Cookie Monster?
I was Big Bird. Okay. And I had like the whole thing on, and like the beak was coming down and impairing my vision. I couldn't punch, right? So then we had to like wedge in the beak at the top. So then, you know, it didn't look like a bird at that point.
Did you wet your beak?
I did wet my beak. I don't know if I was positive or negative that day, but that's actually a good question. Yeah, so you guys get me 2,000 likes. I'll wear whatever hat you guys want. All right, Elon, hi Sharif. Agreed this morning was a short session, but watch out, afternoon could reverse as markets trick with our emotions all the time. Oh, don't they ever, Elon? No question about that. All right, people yelling about GameStop. Is it doing something here?
It's gorgeous. I tried to get involved and GameStop said no. Yeah.
GameStop said no?
Yeah, it wouldn't let me in.
Well, that's not very polite.
Right, I think it's kind of disrespectful, but like, whatever. GameStop wanted to stop me from getting involved. But yeah, this 31 breakout, I wanted to get involved at 30s. GameStop, I think, got to like 30.10s, and I said, you know what, Adara, focus on your unsuccessful IWM short instead. Why don't you? No, I'm joking. All jokes aside, I didn't like the IWM trade I managed fine. That's not an issue. I'm not going to talk about that right now because we're going to talk about GameStop. I know we just said technicals don't always play a role, but sometimes they do. I said I like that flat top breakout on GameStop, which is why I wanted to get involved. And GameStop said, yes, Adara, there is a flat top break, just not for you. Dramatic finger pointing. And I said, okay, GameStop, look at that.
Are you okay with that?
Oh, I can wear a stash. I have to find a stash. Or I'll draw on a stash.
We'll get you one. You know, the company paid for our costumes,
really?
Obviously. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I can get a fake mustache.
You'd wear one for 3 hours? You're a good sport.
I did competitive dance. We used to wear a lot of weird stuff in competitive dance.
Fair.
Like I've had like my hair, I've had pipe cleaners in my hair. I've had like, we had to do like a full on like heart lips. Like I've done like everything. We actually did do a mustache once.
Did you actually?
We did it with makeup and not with facial hair. But yeah, so I would do that for sure.
Okay, well, where are we at here? Well, we're going to have to find out. We're talking up a storm about we'll do this, we'll do that, and we don't even know what we're at in terms of likes. So let's find out over here. Let's bring it up and have a look at the stream. So where are we at here? I didn't even like our own stream today. We're only at 500 likes. Yeah, we're not even gonna have a discussion till 1,000 likes, guys. Come on, let's get that like counter up. Adara's gonna wear a stash, guys, and I'm gonna wear a Mario hat. So. You know, that's all I can say about that. If that ain't trolling that, I don't know what it is. So keep an eye on that. Guys, softies going here and the entire market's starting to go. Let's be real about it. We just finished talking up a storm about the winds of change coming on these Mag 7 names, and they are. A lot of curling up over here on the 5-minute charts on whatever name you're looking at. Even the rangy one today. NVDA off that 1125 bottom, now breaking through 1138 on its way possibly into 1140. The dead one is right at the volume-weighted average price, recovering off that 193 dip. Here comes 194 on Apple. A lot of buying coming in, a lot of aggression on Apple as it breaks through VWAP. Amazon and Meta both retracing into the volume-weighted average price. Softy coming into the 50. And Goggles is not that far from going green on the day. It just needs another 12 or 13 pennies for that break-even point. Good midday recovery here as we have about half an hour left on the show, which is going to result me, or basically requiring me to tell you this. You have another 18 minutes to vote for your favorite tickers. So if you want the big kahunas to discuss GME and AMC, and we all know why, go in the chat right now. Have your say every day between 11 to 150. You can vote, and then 2 to 220. We cover the names that you want. Go ahead and type in whatever ticker you want. I'm just kind of giving you an example there with GME, but it's dealer's choice there. Apple at 194, guys. Lots of strength coming in on the dead one today as it breaks through the volume-weighted average price. Look for this area here. This is where Adara was shorting to no end on Apple. 194.40s, 194.50s. Be cognizant of that area. It is actually Pivot's resistance level to Adara.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give a shout out to Ramin because she said this one a while ago, saying at one point Sharif had the mustache, was wearing red, I was wearing green. We have trended ticker, the trading turtle, and the apes are going off. So Ramin said, "This is you guys, right?" So she just said this again in the chat, said recreate. So yeah, we really should recreate this. Shout out to Ramin if we do get this off to wear green to match with that. Also, thank you so much to Kyle Burdett for this super chat. $5 super chat. Adara, where you get videos of said competitive dance asking for a friend. That was over 10 years ago. Like, it was a good while ago. But yeah, did do competitive dance for many moons, wore a lot of very embarrassing costumes in my time.
Is there any possibility whatsoever that a certain amount of likes would cause the video to make its way onto the show?
I'd have to find the video.
Okay.
This was like before the time of digital videos.
Okay,
like
gotcha.
You had the DVDs, which are in Winnipeg, Lord knows where. But yeah, there were some really fun themed dances.
Love it.
In our time there. Shout out to that. Zach, yeah, I want to look at Brush. I forget, someone was asking for BRSH. I apologize. I don't remember who it was in the chat. I got to tell you, I'm not seeing a lot right now in Brush. I think Brush, we did brush against VWAP here at 12, almost 13 cents, but we rejected, right? Since then, we've had lower highs, lower lows. I gotta say, Brush does have 12.8 million in volume, but I'm not really seeing a lot of patterns here. I'm not seeing a fantastic look. I will say this daily chart, as far as small cap gappers or penny stocks go, is not the worst thing I've seen by any means, but that's also not really a compliment. Of course, we've been a lot higher, right? So brushing a lot of its previous victories to the side. Right now, it seems like we are really struggling with that. These lower highs, we'll get these pops, but every high is lower. 50 cents, 35 cents, 30 cents, 28 cents. Now we're seeing 25 cents. So I got to say, we are seeing a little bit of a move to the downside on Brush. But you know we're not seeing a move down on? Mark the Realtor, 305.
Nope.
Shout out to, I'm assuming Miami there. Shout out to you. 199 super chat. GME. Red button. Rocket ship. Rocket ship. Rocket ship. Two exclamation point emojis. I'm trying to explain use that emoji conversation there. But let's take a look at Gimme and see. Yeah, this one has certainly been giving the longs what they want. If we bounce off 31, I might take this. Ooh. I'm just going to make this face. Because I like that 30 bounce. That 31 was a flat top. So if we bounce off 31s, 31, can you do something for me?
Oh, yeah. Well, GME is still south of the VWAP.
That's
so
true.
33.5-ish is where I see VWAP on GME. But look what AMP just did. AMC coming right into volume-weighted average price, hanging out at 512, 513, getting a topping tail candle through it and right back down. Yeah, so we'll wait. I mean, personally, you could take this long off a clear bottom over here, and it looks like 4 1/3 was that general area bottom, 470, 4 1/3, or 2/3, excuse me, not a third. But yeah, I mean, I'd be looking to short off here, to be honest with you, unless really, well, hold on, the volume really started picking up here. So 115, incrementally, we've had now 4 candles in a row with positive volume. This one still a little negative. We'll see, because it started to curl up here a little bit. You always keep an eye on the volume for confirmation. Yeah, that 5 hole too should also be interesting. Now that you've cleared 5 to the high side, you then come back down into that 5 general area and hold. AMC will wait. But good look here for both them. Midday recovering. Still, I think they definitely need a bit more to get me interested here. The one that I really did not trade at all today because it just wouldn't let me in is this GPCR. Unreal move. Unreal. This thing was $33.56. $34, excuse me, on Friday. It is now $60. This is a multi-billion-dollar company. This is not a small cap gapper, and it has had one hell of a day. Again, if you're wondering why this is moving, I believe it was an obesity pill. This is going to come in the form of a pill. Everybody complains about these GLP-1s being an injectable form, no oral one as of yet. This company looking to change all that. GPCR, Structure Therapeutics, $2.75 billion market cap. The float on it is large. It's about 106 million shares. I told you guys earlier that the short float, which jives with today's lesson, is about 10%, just south of 10% at 9.82. So this one's really been the trade that I missed. I'm going to have my eyes tomorrow on this one to see whether or not it can have a second day continuation play. But yeah, great recovery there. Let's have a look at the market. Are we still continuing to the high side on the market? Well, Amazon just broke VWAP at that 177.25, and we're long 176.01. Yeah, I'm just holding on to it. I'm just going to hold on to it. But I do expect resistance here, Adara, at the volume-weighted average price. If I don't get resistance at VWAP, I know I'll encounter it at 178 because you had umpteen amount of topping tail candles into that 178 level at around 1130. So Amazon, a good recovery off the bottom, but I do expect some resistance up here.
Can I shout out your Amazon trade? Because that's
you.
amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah, he's that certainly definitely going in the right Bezos on that trade. Or the right Wazos, I guess would be the better way of doing that pun. Apple is like tantalizing to me.
Ooh.
Apple is actually like like the forbidden apple. This is the apple it's doing. It's like sitting there in the Garden of Eden being like, hey, hey. But I don't want to take this yet. This area that I kept shorting around 194.40s, to me that is the area on Apple. I don't want to short it. To be clear, I say that I did short at VWAP as well earlier, but that was below VWAP. Right now we actually are above VWAP. Now VWAP is not always going to be level, but it was for Apple earlier today. We do have these failed wicks into 194. Oh, Tara. I don't want to short just yet. I want to see a little bit more confluence. Man, I am a little disappointed that I didn't take those GME trades, but I'm also not forcing myself into this because revenge trades are generally not a good idea. A revenge trade on GME feels like a very, very bad idea indeed. But basically what I wanted with GME initially was that $30 long. GME laughed in my face. Then I wanted 31. So I think, what 31.15s? GME gets to 31.20s, and then it's goes back to 30. I don't like that. No, that dolphin laugh I did.
Whoa.
And then it goes to 32.
Like it.
So
I'd call that the machine gun laugh.
oh yeah, I guess like that. Oh yeah. But yeah, this GME. Some people are mentioning that this 32.85 has kind of been the level for GME. This 31.85 actually got a little spicy. I'll watch again for a 31 bounce, but I have, like I said, zero interest in hopping into GME without confidence. I'll trade GME, mind you, but you have to have something you really, really want. And right now, I do not. So that's why I'm staying out of that. Sorry guys, I haven't taken any trades in a while. I'm really waiting to see something set up that I really like. This Tesla though. Oh, this Tesla. Should have taken the 176 rejection because I was obsessed with that earlier. I didn't, yada, yada, yada. I still think Tesla's curling back up. If Tesla bounces at 175.35, no, 175.75, I will get involved. But it looks like there's a soccer update.
I love how you set it up. So this happened. So this is all over. Well, it surprised absolutely nobody. Kylian Mbappe says au revoir Paris and hola Madrid. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was quite labored, but everybody and their mother's third dog's cousin knew that this trade, or not trade, this signing was going down. It's widely expected to be announced before the Euros. I think this is the biggest signing for them since Cristiano Ronaldo, and I think he'll have
That's kind of a statement. I think he might have a similar impact to Real Madrid as Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he is that talented. This guy is the real deal. I think he didn't get what he wanted in Paris with, you know, some of the signings being a little bit suspicious there. We're not going to go into it, but Kylian Mbappe, a la Madrid, and Los Blancos are going to be very, very happy that this dude is going to be, I wonder what shirt he's going to wear. He's probably going to wear number 10, I'm just assuming. But Kylian Mbappe, widely expected that this is going to be announced this week before the Euros. And I believe June 1st was the actual, or May 31st was the actual termination of his contract with Paris Saint-Germain. So it now opens up legally for him to be signed by the Catalan team. Or they're not Catalan, sorry. They're by Madrid. So we'll keep eyes on that. The 15th champions, yes, definitely he will be as good as Karim Benzema. I'm not saying Benzema. I think he'll be better than Benzema for sure. I think Karim Benzema is a hell of a player, obviously, no question about that. But I just feel like, you know, he's a bit better than him. Does he trade, says Carlos Dar? I don't know. Maybe he does. But yeah, big news there. All right, the other big news, AMZN really going here, guys. Now 177.25. It's breaking through the WAP at the volume weighted average price. Look for that 178 level. That's where we had a lot of trouble, a lot of topping tail candles coming in there, and the rounded top started developing at 178. So if we squeeze here through the volume weighted average price, look for resistance at 178 level. We're along 176.01, and I only have one more out left, so I'm gonna let this go. I am in the sim today, guys. Want to repeat that again. I am not live. There was an issue with my ID. Hopefully we'll be live tomorrow.
Yes. Also, I am in Apple. I liked the 194 rejection. La-di-da. And as I say that, we're pushing back past this level I don't like. So we're gonna have to say bye-bye to Apple. I did have a bite of the forbidden apple, and Apple was like, yeah, that's what you get. And now it's coming back to the area I like, so it's all good. Still up on the day. Really proud of the trading I've been doing lately. It's been a nice start to the month of June. Apologies, I didn't take too many. I say I didn't take that many trades today, but I did have quite a few fills. But I think it has been a little bit of a scalpier kind of day, because that's what I've been trying to work towards. That's where I feel like I trade the best is when I scalp. So that's what I'm working on, is just pure scalpage. I made up a word. But, so that's what happened here with Apple. I don't have any more reads on this. Am I still positive? Yes, I'm still positive in Apple. Microsoft, though, ended up actually being my trade of the day, which was kind of surprising to me. But Microsoft. Oh, I'm talking like it's like a misbehaving child. Look at it coming back to this level.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And VWAP is now almost intersecting with that level. That bottom end area,
You're
look
right.
at that. It's pretty close.
Oh, Sharif. I don't want to rush into this, or I keep making these weird mournful sounds. I have no interest in rushing into this trade, but because I also think it, much like Apple, looks like going to pop above here. Oh man, this is a great look, but I really don't want to rush and give up those gains. Let's talk about GME though, because gimme sometimes gets if you're involved in GME. Look at this 31 bounce. I didn't take the 31 bounce because I was like, oh, it's GME. Oh. Tried to get involved earlier, wouldn't let me. I'm like, okay, GME clearly was the place to be. So that's my bad on that. The thing is, too, is like part of me is like, oh, Adara, you should have just had conviction. But if I don't have that much conviction in a trade, I shouldn't be taking it either. And GME, I think I just need like literally like a sign being like, oh, eureka, in order to have enough confidence to take that trade. So that's what you got to do. 8-2 might say you are the apple of my eye. Yeah, Apple was the apple of my eye with certain levels earlier today. Not right now, though. Also, I want to shout out IWM. Allison Mulcahy was mentioning IWM having its first green hourly candle. This was one trade I forgot to mention earlier, and I forgot to mention it because GME came and reared its little head, so I was like, okay. But yeah, I lost 20 pennies on this. I did manage it how I wanted to manage it. I like the short because we did have this kind of wick here into this 203.80 that we rejected. I said, okay, Adara, try the short. We got to 203.80. I got out. La-di-da-di-da. If we can push above that 204, that's going to be a great look to me because 204 was clear chop and turn resistance earlier. So if we can break above that level, I think that is where the longs say hi in IWM. They say hi, WM. So yeah, that's that trade. It wasn't an IW massacre by any means, but it also wasn't, IW marvelous either. So you got to be aware of that. But you know what is marvelous? Is Sharif's Amazon trade. And if you want to see Sharif and Neil and Sean talk about certain tickers, you only have a couple more minutes to do this right
Well
now.
said, Adara.
Go in the chat and do that.
Yeah, you got 3 more minutes. The voting shuts off every day, 150 Ram. They got to go in, they got to go into the chat, and they got to hit the following prompt. You're going to hit exclamation point, the word join, space, then the $, and throw in whatever ticker your heart desires. If you want to talk about the solar names that have been making a move lately, check out FSLR, showing Brendo that chart this morning. If you want to talk about the heavily shorted names, the GameStops, the Faradays, the Mullins, the AMCs, throw that in. If you want to talk about the Mag 7, you want to hear what NVIDIA is up to, throw that in. Throw in whatever your heart desires every day from 11 to 150. You can have your vote. And then the big kahunas come on from 2 to 220, and they talk about the levels. They talk about their trades, if they took any on that, and they give you the 411 exactly what they think. So go ahead and join that. I'm already seeing some love there for the Cybertruck and AMD. People want to hear all about that. And can you blame them? And no, Aaron Scott Matthews, I see what you're doing there. I see you. There's no ticker.
That is not a ticker. Nor a stash.
I actually tried it just to make sure it wasn't a ticker. No, it's not. I'll tell you after, Neil. But yeah, that is the look. All right, guys, let's look at these Mag 7 names really quick here because some of them are at key areas of resistance. And I think Adara astutely pointed out the 194 dance that the dead one is putting in right now, just a skosh above the volume weighted average price. 194, that whole dollar level, obviously acting as a local area of resistance owing to the 4 topping till candles that it's putting in at those levels. And then before, once it gave way to 194, it did the same thing. Once we broke 194 at 11:45 and started, trading from the south side from below 194, we were doing the same topping till candles that we're doing right now. So 194, for whatever reason, acting as a local area of resistance here on AAPL. A bit of a range happening now between a little bit above 194 and the volume weighted average price. So we'll see what the Cybertruck can do. Now, I think my Amazon trade got into that 177 and a third. It's coming down now into a fifth. I'm just going to hold this and see where it goes. And Meta as well, reclaiming the volume weighted average price at 475 by some distance. In fact, it almost made it up into 476 and a fifth. So a nice move up through that whole dollar level, but it's also putting in some topping tail candles right now as the selling pressure comes in. We mentioned this one earlier. We were talking about Google, south of the volume weighted average price, south of the Friday closing print at 172.50. That's all over. Google's above VWAP, above the volume weighted average price. But I would say to you, again, for whatever reason over here, we have this consolidation area top just south of 173. I would say in the 172 high 90s to low 80s. There's a bit of a range there where we couldn't break there in the morning from around 10:30 all the way to 12 when we gave up that area aggressively. So we're right back at that area again in kind of the same way we are with Apple at 194. Let's see if we can move up above this consolidation area top over here on goggles. GOOGL. Meta's heading up here. It looks as if a lot of other stuff coming right back down, NVIDIA included. Not the case on META. It's continuing to show greener candles as it dances with that 2%. It was well over 2% at the highs there when it was knocking the door of 480. $4 below that right now. So it could be well over 2% if we are to finish with some strength. The final trade that I have on the day is this AMZN, and it was a 176 dip, and we're going to hold this one until we're off the show in about 9 minutes or so. What is everybody else talking about over here in the chat? Gorev, do you see Dell as a long of these on these levels? Cup and handle, question mark, or do you think it's a rejection at VWAP for short to the lows of the day? So I'm assuming you're talking about an intraday trade because you're talking about the day. So let's have a look at DELL here on the 5-minute chart. So Dell's been a bit of a sell lately ever since earnings, and I didn't mean that to rhyme, but here's what I see, Gorev. I see a 50-period resistance level on DELL on the 5-minute chart. I mean, how can you not see that
We topping tail through that. You get the wick through it, and then right back down you go. You close below the 50. And then the entirety of the afternoon has been a rejection off the 50. So I'm inclined to want to base my trade off the 50 on the 5, however it comes, whether it's a long or short. Today, it seems that the short's more in play. To go green, it's got to get right into that 140 area, about 139 and 2/3. That was the closing print on Friday. I am cognizant of these higher lows that has been putting in since 1050, bottomed out there for that 128.60 low. We're in 133 territory. However, it's been lower highs and lower lows with a compression pattern and a downward move. Usually to me, that means a bit bearish. So I'm packing my patience. I like Dell as a long-term play. I'm not involved in it, but intraday, I don't see a cup and handle, Gorev. I see a down move and then a resistance here at the 50. All right, Amazon right back up, baby, into that $0.50 level. So I was calling kaputs on this trade, but a bit of dancing still. 177.5, right back down at that quarter, though, Adara. A lot of bamboozlement here as we come into the final stretch on how to trade.
Yeah, this has been quite the day. I can't even believe we're already at the final stretch. We call this Tesla Stressla for a reason, and man, was, you know, a little bit depressed after this initial Tesla trade. You might be like, Adara, why? Well, okay. So we got long 85s, places punch, whatever. Then we break into 65s, I leave, as planned. I turn back around, this thing is back up above 176. How did this happen? I don't know, it's how Tesla goes. But I went long again because I did notice we were still holding that level. I think, okay, there we go, this is what I needed. I wanna see this into 76.10s because I know we can get there. We have gotten there. Took a smaller position the second time around. I still have confidence in the trade, and I needed to get out where I got out, right? But I also, you know, if you see a trade you like, you have to have the confidence to take it again. You cannot let yourself be shaken out or shaken up by the fact that a previous trade did not go according to plan, because that is what I did on Meta. That initial short, the timing was just not great. I wanted to short it again over here, and I didn't because I was like, oh dear, it didn't go well initially. You can't trade like that. I do want to shout out Neil's lesson of the day, because he's talked about this before in lessons of the day. There is no problem with taking a trade on a name that didn't work out before, or didn't pan out initially. As long as you have a plan, as long as you're not revenge trading it, and you do have a plan for it, and you're going into that trade with a plan in mind, then I think that's absolutely fine. It did scalp out Tesla here, 15 penny winner, not like the trade of anyone's life by any means, but I'm really proud of what I did with these names. I am up on the day to start June, so I'm pleased as punch with that. This is, I think, my second best day since going live, maybe. So good times with that. I'm really just trying to get more confident. And I think the biggest thing is I feel like sometimes I'll be less confident if I have a trade that doesn't work in the name, like once bitten, twice shy. But you can't do that with trading. Each trade, each execution is going to vary drastically. And you have to have the confidence and the whole picture to come together. I appreciate that, Comp SRX. Definitely, guys, hit the like. If you do want to see Sharif and I dress up as apparently Mario and Luigi.
Where are we at with
he'll
likes?
Wear a Mario hat, and I will wear green and a mustache. So we want those likes. Also, shout out to Trenda, and shout out to AMC Apes, and shout out to that really funny little photo.
I will wear a Trenda hat if there's one, Ram. Yeah, I will. I wore a Big Bird hat, Adara. So I mean, once you wear a Big Bird hat, like the gloves are off.
The gloves.
You know what I mean?
Because you're literally wetting your beak.
Well, there you go.
Although certainly you did not stop wetting your beak on Amazon. What a trade!
I know.
Congrats on that trade.
But can I tell you the truth? I think we're topping out here, Adara. As I'm starting to see a whole bunch of selling come in on these Mag 7 names, at least temporarily, and now we're getting some topping tail candles through that or north of that VWAP area. So you kind of feel like, you know, there's a bit of a tug of war happening here between buyers and sellers on some of these Mag 7 names, as a lot of them have retraced into key areas of technical resistance. I would say the same thing for Microsoft, the same thing for Google, the same thing for Apple. They're all into that volume weighted average price general area and are curling back a little bit off it now. Tesla kind of the exception here, where it was just too weak. It couldn't make it back into that 179-ish area at VWAP, but look what it's doing with the 20 period. The same thing that the others are doing with VWAP. It's finding resistance at that 176.25, you know, with multiple kind of candles of indecision here, these doji candles, but, you know, looking to curl down again. TSLA, no specific headline today for Tesla, but it finds itself down 1 1/5. Really, is it the weakest of the Mag 7 names? Let's just look real quick over here.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, it is. It is what the weakest of the Mag 7 names, 1.25. I would say, you know, Netflix, I don't include that in the Mag 7, but, you know, it's definitely one of the ones I keep my eye on. 1.8% in negatory land for Netflix is there as we come on the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, I can't believe we're almost done.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off and set up at the big desk and leave you for the last 2 minutes to kill the show.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
All right.
We will see Sharif on a green screen, and he will be there. And unfortunately, he will not be charting the mustache, but he will still have the mustache existing. So you can see that there. Shout out as well to Neil, who was really trying to make Join Mustache happen last week. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, so right now, a lot of these names curling. Microsoft curling down here. Like I said, I didn't want to take that because I didn't want it to be just like a trade completely based on previous levels. Now I think Microsoft is bouncing. This is a gorgeous kind of range here. You've got that 411.50 into that 412.30. I think that's a gorgeous look. Not one I wanted to take because, as I always say, I only trade during the midday period. After the midday, I do have other tests. I do. So purely trade during the midday. I want to take a look at Paramount, though, because it's Paramount that we do not forget about this potential deal with Paramount and Skydance Media. We know that Sherry Redstone really wanted Skydance, and we know a lot of the Paramount shareholders initially were like, no, we want Apollo and Sony, but it looks like they're looking to buy, from what I saw, Skydance looking to buy Paramount $15 a share. So that's certainly a big premium. Definitely not a bad look. I'm sure those shareholders are maybe a little bit more pleased as punch than they initially were. Also, wow, this Apple. I had to get out where I got out. I'm not going to like lose sleep over this, but man, this short did end up coming to fruition. I'm not grumpy about it. It is what it is. You have to trade how you trade. I did have a pretty small amount I was risking there, so it's all good. I also want to talk about this because I know I have seen someone, you know, saying in the chat like, oh, I didn't give Tesla that much risk. I usually don't give Apple that much risk. I find my trades are a little bit more effective if I risk very little because, and I have kind of a tighter risk to reward principle because otherwise I feel like I panic sell or I hold for way too long. And so that's how I've kind of dealt with that is I risk like 10, 20 cents and I'm trying to make, you know, like 20 to 40 cents. That's kind of the trades I have to make. I feel like that ends up being successful to me. So I just want to address that because I am aware I have kind of a ridiculously tight risk to reward ratio. 30 minutes left. I cannot believe this. GME here bouncing off that 31s. Wow, 31 can do something for GME. You know, didn't want to rush into these trades, but I mean, I want to shout out to Sean because I'm pretty sure he is still involved in GME. Only 50 minutes left. I hope you guys had a great week. Seconds, that's what I meant. Sorry, thank you for me saying, I keep saying minutes and I do mean seconds. Only a couple seconds left here. Hope you guys had a great Monday to kick off this new trading week. I will see you guys tomorrow on a whole new How to Trade, same bat time, same bat channel. Right now, though, we have Sharif on the green screen.
Welcome, guys, to the segment where you choose what we talk about every day. You'll be able to vote from 11 to 150 for the tickers, the top 5 that you want the big kahunas, Neil and Sean, to discuss every day between 2 to 2:20.